Romney could be being eyed for the position of Secretary of State. I'm John Trout. President-elect Trump has nominated Georgia Representative Tom Price, an ardent critic of Obamacare, to head the Department of Health and Human Services.
Tom Price has been in the forefront of some 50-plus attempts by the U.S. House to repeal Obamacare. His alternatives would provide tax breaks for buying coverage for individuals and businesses, but take away the mandates that were designed to put more healthy people into coverage pools. The president-elect calls Price exceptionally qualified to shepherd his commitment to repeal and replace Obamacare. Bob Costantini, Washington.
Wildfires aggravated by winds have prompted authorities in Tennessee to issue evacuation orders for the town of Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge. This woman and her family narrowly escaped the flames.
The fireman came and got us, and I don't know who he was, but I thank him so much.
Wildfires have spread to parts of the Smoky Mountains National Park. On Wall Street, day after Cyber Monday finds the Dow down at this hour, 13 points. I'm John Trout.
This is the Truth Frequency Radio Network. TFR.
Truth Frequency Radio.
Now, you don't know it yet, but you are listening to History in the Making while you are listening to this show.
We know now that in the early years of the 20th century, this world was being watched closely by intelligences greater than man, yet as mortal as his own.
I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, "I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!"
Out in Milwaukee, here's Kristan T. Harris with the American Intelligence Report.
Good morning, Milwaukee and listeners around the world. I'm your host, Kristan T. Harris, and this is your American Intelligence Report. Today, we'll be hosting a very informational roundtable on Pizzagate. Joining me here right now, I have Scotty Lopez. How you doing, Scott?
Hey, what's going on, man? Thanks for inviting me back on.
Hey, no, I'm glad to have you on. Actually, you were my first guest on American Intelligence Report, I think. I think you popped my radio cherry, per se. And Popeye from Down the Rabbit Hole is going to be joining us in just a little bit. His Skype is updating. And Chris Everard, he's having tea time. Just so you know, tea time for Chris Everard. I had a good hard time. He's in Paris, I believe. So he'll be joining us to talk about Pizzagate. Great minds today. And there's a lot going on there. But before we get into all that, I got to plug real quick the website. Make sure you guys check out AmericanIntelligenceReport.com. That's where we're going to have the latest in news and information. There's new and breaking stuff on there all the time. I recently had articles on regenerating like limbs, Adobe Photoshop for your voice, where they're just going to edit people's voices to sound like whatever they so choose. A whole bunch of different things on there. So make sure you guys keep checking that out. Also, if you're a listener out there and you can't catch the show live all the time, I now have a Google Play app, and we're also going to have an Amazon app and a Windows app for those platforms. The iPhone app is a little more difficult. That costs money, so I've been working on making that happen, obviously. And I'll tell you what, I saw that there were some donations. I don't even check to see if I get donations that often, and people have been donating, and I appreciate that. There's people out there, sometimes they just donate $2, but they donate $2 every week, and that is, that little bit, that pays a bill. That pays for the web server every month if you add that up. Somebody donates $10. That all that keeps me alive and allows me to focus on real life issues like Pizzagate, which is, it's starting to get a little scary. It's starting to give me bad feelings inside about what's going on in the world around us. All the things that we really hoped were not true are turning out to be true, and I don't know how I feel about all that, Scott. I really am not sure. And now there's some interesting news that you posted on my Facebook about Pizzagate, isn't there?
Yeah. So people went back and It turns out that possibly Andrew Breitbart may have been on this, and now there's speculation that possibly this is the reason why he may have been killed. Because, I mean, we all know that it wasn't just natural causes. I don't buy that for 1 second. I believe Breitbart was taken out. But he put out a tweet not too long before his death where he basically says that, how prog guru John Podesta isn't a household name as a world-class underage sex slave op cover-upper defending unspeakable dregs escapes me. And that was what he said in his tweet.
Wow. So he knew. He knew all this. I wonder how he knew all this.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder, was this the information that he had? Remember, he was supposed to be dropping
a big bomb,
bombshell information not too long before he died.
Well, I mean, that legitimately could be it, because that would get you killed. That's the that's what I thought with Michael Hastings. What was he onto? Maybe he was onto what got Breitbart killed. Who knows what these guys were investigating? I will say that would make a lot of sense. It's crazy that he called it, number one. The things that he's saying are coming out in these WikiLeaks as being true. I mean, they
totally called it.
Definitely called it. Wow. So no wonder why they're scared that guy from Breitbart is in there. He may know a lot about what's going on with this. Sheriff David Clark from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, by the way, went in and interviewed with Donald Trump, and the media was, of course, making fun of him because he had his cowboy hat on for an interview. He had to wear that cowboy hat. So he was getting trolled by our local media, Daniel Bice, who is what I would call the local hit piece or shit piece, whatever you want to call it, writer. He tends to write all the career-ending pieces for people. We had a buddy and police officer, Michael S. Murphy, and he wrote a piece, and he asked that he not disclose that he's a police officer because, this is about his political ideologies, not his job. And they listed that he was Milwaukee law enforcement, and then they had to literally move him out of the city. So wow. That's the kind of media we have here in Wisconsin. And also, not that I like Trump more than, that I like Trump that much, but he was definitely better than Hillary. Obviously, me, you, Popeye, we all sat around and we covered the elections. So Popeye is going to be joining us here. Let's see if we can get him in. Oh, yeah. Round table, Popeye. What's going on, Popeye? Are you here with us?
Hello, boys.
Hey, what's going on? We were just talking about this bombshell information that Breitbart just tweeted. And Scotty Lopez put it on my Facebook that Andrew Breitbart literally predicted that Podesta was a gatekeeper of child trafficking.
You wonder why he died the way he did.
That's what we're getting at. So Andrew Breitbart, the day because this was literally the day the NDAA was passed. The NDAA allowed the president to legally have an assassination list. And at midnight that night, it was funny that Andrew Breitbart died. And I'm telling you right now, the whole thing was fishy. Even the guy who did the autopsy on Andrew Breitbart died.
Yeah, the coroner that did the autopsy on him, didn't he die like a week or two later he died of a heart attack, I think, correct?
Yeah, it was something really bizarre, like out of the blue.
He was either mugged or it was a heart attack, which, by the way, is like the standard MO of the intelligence agencies when they take somebody out.
I posted that tweet that Andrew Breitbart posted before his death, just so Popeye can see it right there in the chat.
All right, is that in the video chat on Facebook? By the way, guys, we're live on Facebook. We have the video chat going on. If you guys want to get in the video chat, you guys can do that. I'll be trying to keep you guys posted on what we have as far as information on the screen. But yeah, that's all creepy. This whole Pizzagate thing is so surreal, guys. I really didn't want this to be true. There's part of me that really wanted to believe that people were just going and worshiping an owl and a bull in Bohemian Grove, and it was just for, business reasons so they could get in with the right guys. But it looks like the people at the top with these WikiLeaks, at least, are showing that they're really corrupt. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. I had Jay Dyer on yesterday, and he did a book called Esoteric Hollywood. and he was mentioning that, you know, this is just a tip of the iceberg. They have places where they'll take these children and cut off limbs, and people pay to torture people. It's just disgusting. And I think that if this is exposed hard enough, the whole darn ship might sink.
Yeah, and you know, unfortunately, this is one of the times when you kind of don't want to be validated, but doing the research that we've been doing for years, we've sort of we've known that this kind of thing is taking place, but now it's come out. You know, I mean, as far as Pizzagate goes, I'm not surprised, right? That this doesn't surprise me in the least. But now that it's being confirmed, and that, you know, even the general public is sort of having to be forced to kind of look at this stuff, it's definitely something that is, I'm not happy to be right about any of this.
I tweeted out the other day a tweet to this. There's a guy named David Seaman. I don't know if you guys know who this kid is.
No.
He's a author, journalist. He, I guess you could say he's an investigative journalist. He's actually one of the true last investigative journalists there is. He got fired from Huffington Post during the election because he was talking about Hillary Clinton's health. And he went from like covering that and working for the Huffington Post to, in a few short months, you know, he's been covering Pizzagate, and you could see his door has been opened into the rabbit hole. He's even used the reference of rabbit hole in some of his YouTube videos, talking about the things that he's discovered. And I tweeted him the other day, because you have people that are being paid attention to, researchers like him and others that are getting a lot of attention right now. And I tweeted, that this has been going on for a long time, basically. And I sent him a link to in one of the interviews I did with Fritz Springmeier, where we talked about this stuff years ago. So, as probably complacent as this is going to sound and how calm I am about all of this, it's because I've known about this for years. And I've been one of the ones that have always said, no, these guys are as sick as they come, and that this stuff is true. And I've had plenty of debates with, other researchers off air and on air about this. And like you said, Kristan, some people don't, it's just so crazy. What they do is so sick and twisted. You almost want to be like, no, I'd rather be wrong about this and be labeled the crazy conspiracy theorist. Because
exactly, it's one of those situations where you don't want to be right about it.
Right, because if you're right, some kids getting touched and abused and other horrific things, satanic sacrifices and things like that. I know that's not talked about in Pizzagate, some of it a little bit, but that stuff, that's very pervasive. And I think one of the problems that these people are having trouble digesting is they think that it's Hillary Clinton. They think it's the Clinton camp. They think it's just Podesta. They don't understand that it's institutional.
Yeah, it goes back to the Bush administration and the Reagan administration before it.
Yes. So it's not just the Democrats. It's the Republicans, too. It's all of them. I talked to Fritz Springmeier about this. I said to him, what do you think about how deep this is? What are explain to the audience, because I already knew, but I wanted him to explain. And he says it goes so deep you have no clue. It goes into the police departments of every major town, every sheriff's offices in counties. All of this. You don't need all of them. You don't need every cop, every sheriff, every FBI agent to be a pedophile or a Satanist. You only need the correct ones in the correct positions of power to be those people.
Yes, and this ties into the CPS taking children from families and all of that.
Why don't you ever wonder why they murdered Nancy Schaefer? She was on Alex Jones's show talking about. She was a congresswoman, and she went on Alex Jones's show talking about CPS and this kind of stuff, and child trafficking and some of the darker things that they were doing. She didn't even get into like they worship the devil. Satanism and stuff might have come up here or there, but mostly it was about the trafficking of children, pedophilia, what was going on in CPS, how people in Washington knew what was going on, and suddenly her and her husband were killed in a quote-unquote murder-suicide where they never had any issues, and then suddenly her husband snaps, kills her, and then kills himself. Yeah.
You know, it's interesting to see that all these people were onto it. You know, Andrew Breitbart was onto it. And there's been people that have sounded the alarm, but it's never broken through like this because of the internet. We have things like Reddit where they banned the entire Pizzagate forum there. I don't know if you guys know that, because people are harassing the businesses, these horrible, you know, these really good institutions where they offer slices of pizza and they use symbolism and have, you know, pedophilia type artwork and bands that glorify pedophilia through their music and torture and things. And, you know, that's just normal. Have you guys ever seen what Podesta has inside of his home? He has like a whole toy box of toys, and then he's got little paintings of little children all over his walls. If that doesn't creep you out, it's one thing to have a picture of your child. Yeah, it's bizarre. I mean, and then they steal the innocence by doing these horrible things. Popeye mentioned something about Fritz Springmeier, and something triggered in my head. You know how this is just one arm of the octopus? What about the statement that Fritz Springmeier said that Al Gore was caught with a suitcase of blood because blood is used as an ultimate aphrodisiac or type of, drug, because when they kill someone, they take the adrenaline from their neck at that moment, and that's considered one of the top and highest ranking drugs that rich people can get. So people walk around with suitcases of blood, and they drink blood all day. And the question is it possible that this goes a lot deeper? And I think the answer is yes. Jay Dyer was on talking about Hollywood and how dark it is. We had the Elijah Wood thing where he came out, said there's a big pedophile ring. It's all connected. All these people are connected.
Yeah, definitely. And there's definitely something to that as far as the blood goes. I mean, look at the whole spirit cooking thing, right? They mix, was it blood, urine, semen, breast milk as some sort of a aphrodisiac sort of soup or whatever. And, you know, even if you watch like Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, right? He took that drug that was called adrenochrome or whatever, and it was supposedly taken from the adrenal gland of somebody. And
that's what I was talking about.
Well, that's just a fake, made-up sort of drug or whatever. But no, I mean, there's a lot of evidence pointing that drug actually exists and that it's taken from the adrenal gland of a living person that, you know, is being killed.
Yeah, this is all just so dark. And for the listeners who are just trying to figure out what Pizzagate is, and on the WikiLeaks emails that came out about a week or two ago, I heard about this, but it was going on for quite some while. People were at least trying to guess what was going on, and then when people started to decode it, it seemed like textbook pedophilia, where there were emails where they were wanting to know if it's better to play dominoes on cheese pizza or hot dogs, and there are codes like that, or that they wanted to sacrifice a chicken to Moloch, and that could be at least dismissed as possibly a joke. But when you deal with these people and you see what they believe, is it really a joke? You know, and so people started trolling these places.
Can I just point something out?
Yeah.
Moloch is not that owl.
No, it's a bull.
Bohemian Grove. That's Minerva. Okay, totally different deity. Moloch is the bull that you see on Wall Street. You know that big golden bull that they have down on Wall Street? You know, Moloch was he was represented as a golden bull, and how they would sacrifice children to him is the bull was usually an oven, and they would stick the children in the hollow bowl and then light a fire up underneath it and cook them in it. Okay, that's Moloch. So just to get the mystical statues clear, the big owl that Jones videotaped all those years ago, when he snuck into Bohemian Grove, he incorrectly labeled it in the movie Moloch, and he never went back and touched on that and talked about that. Just a simple mistake. Look, there's many different deities.
Well, it's all sun worship. It all ties to. I'm sorry. It all ties to the same deity.
Yeah, well, there's many different deities, and sometimes, you know, it gets hard to track which one these satanic idiots actually are worshiping at any given point in time. But yes, Minerva is the owl, which they worship. Cremation of care, getting rid of care, the sacred feminine. Right? By the way, 9/11 was a huge cremation of care ceremony. And Molech is this bull god, for lack of a better term. He's represented as a bull, and you can actually look up. Molech was this, like I said, when they used to sacrifice children to them, they used to have this huge hollow bowl that they would put the children in and then light a fire up underneath it and cook them in the bowl, which ironically the bull looks just like the golden bull out on Wall Street. But hey, I'm sure that's just a coincidence. I'm sure that's not any symbolism there at all.
Just like Podesta has Jeffrey Dahmer murder victim art in his home. Just a coincidence.
It wouldn't surprise me if he had one of John Wayne Gacy's clown paintings either.
Oh,
honestly.
Yeah. Why would you want to collect that stuff? I'm just saying, for the person out there that lives a normal life, goes to job, 9 to 5, it just seems so unrealistic that this could go on. But the truth is Satanism and child sacrifice hasn't gone away. It's just gone underground. And children go missing every year. I wrote about this. In Oklahoma last year, 78 children were missing. And when you think about it, a lot of the parents might be addicts or drug users, and they don't even check up on their children or even care because they're lit all the time. And these children go missing, and no one really asks, well, what happened to them? Or is it just a shuffle of paperwork where you have someone that you just keep adopting children to, and they just keep carting the children? And so it's just all paperwork that makes it look like these children are really there. It's just sad to see this is how we're treating our youth. And then you start to think about things like guardianship programs where they torture our old and they literally bankrupt them and steal their money and their health, and they make them look insane a lot of times so they can keep them in these institutes. It goes to show you the barometer in the state of which America is in. And this Podesta leak, this Pizzagate leak, is just the beginning. There's bands that perform there. I guess they had banquet, or not banquets. You can't have a banquet at a pizza place, but like fundraisers at these art museums, this ping pong pizzeria.
Yeah, and the guy that owns the pizzeria, I mean, he's they have him ranked as like one of the top 40 most influential people in Washington, D.C.
Wow.
Yeah.
Read Fritz Springmeier's How to Create an Undetectable Mind Control Slave. That's one book. And then go read Kathy O'Brien's book, The Transformation of America. There's a start to understand some of the deeper, darker stuff.
It's just so gut-wrenching.
It's disgusting, but it's been going on for a very long time. It's very pervasive in our institutions. And this is the problem. People are being led to, it's Podesta, it's him and his brother. And maybe, it wouldn't surprise me if Podesta, his friends, his brother, and everybody that they're related to and that they know are involved in this. Wouldn't surprise me at all. But that's not where the buck stops.
No.
And the problem is
not at all.
On the Clintons and on the Podestas. Oh my God, they say pedophile ring, but I never hear names mentioned past Podesta. No one talks at all. No one talks about the stuff that happened in the past. What about the Franklin cover-up? You mentioned that earlier, Kristan. You brought up Bush.
Yeah.
Right? Bush-Reagan White House. What about that? That's all part of this. Jimmy Savile over in England. What they did over there, it's all part of the same ring. It's not separate instances. Oh, look, there's a pedophile here. There's a pedophile there. No, newsflash. They have their own interwebs. They are sick, twisted scumbags. And guess what? When you have pedophiles in high-ranking positions of power all over the world that happen to interact with each other, but I'm sure it's just a coincidence. No, it's not an effing coincidence. It's not. Wake up, ladies and gentlemen. Pizzagate is much bigger than some stupid pizzeria. I know this is like the entrance to it, but don't lose focus. Don't let the power elite, who, when something like this gets found out, of course they'll throw somebody under the bus. They have no problems throwing one or two people under the bus to protect the entire collective of satanic psychos that are out there, whatever you want to call them. And by the way, it doesn't matter. I know there's a lot of people that are into the occult that are like, spirit cookings. People don't know what they're talking about. And there's a lot of smart, intelligent people out there that aren't freaked out by it, and they try to calm people down because maybe they're Wiccan or whatever. That's fine. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day, it doesn't even matter when it comes to a ritual. It doesn't really matter what you believe in. It matters what the person doing the ritual believes in, because they're the one imbuing that energy into it. They're the one putting that energy forth or calling on that energy to them. Okay? It's what they believe in. They're manifesting that. Remember, we create our own reality. Quantum physics tells us that we create our own reality. So if you understand science, then you understand it doesn't really matter what you believe in. If they're the ones doing the ceremony, it matters what they believe, because they're manifesting that dark, evil energy at that point in time, right there.
Yeah, that's all very interesting, Popeye. I was mentioning had a conversation with Jay Dyer yesterday about time travel. I'm just going a little bit off the beaten path here like I normally do. It was in the news that scientists now believe that because of alternate dimensions, time travel is possible. So I asked Jay if we're doing all this metadata collection, and every thought now can be downloaded. They have machines that translate your thoughts, and they print them out on a piece of paper. And I'm sure it goes a lot deeper than that. If they can record our every waking moment or every waking thought or every waking action, they can actually rank actions and try to surgically remove certain decisions which may not even be correlated with the main outcome that affected it, and they can do that based on conversations. What one decision in the world may have caused us to avoid World War II or whatever it might be. And so there is a real possibility that in the future they could try to go back and surgically remove parts of our history in order to change the outcome of our modern day world. So it was really interesting in the conversation, but it all comes down to this metadata collection and the way these people believe, the spirit cooking, the alternate dimensions, the interdimensional beings, the scrying mirrors at George Soros's house. I bet you they're all involved. I wouldn't doubt that Soros and Podesta like to hang out.
Well, a lot of these sick bastards do hang out together, and whether it's not like, it's not like, hey, Kristan, you want to come over and have a beer and talk about the Illuminati? It's not like that,
No.
Yeah. Theirs is a little bit more sophisticated. Usually it's in rooms with glasses of brandy and, whiskey and cigars, or God knows whatever they do.
Eyes wide shut,
Yeah.
So
yeah, or eyes wide shut. There's like no happy medium.
No, we're either torturing people or we're having an orgy. Or both, right? Or both. And it's dark humor, but unfortunately, when you do this every day, it is gut-wrenching. A lot of people are concerned. I think it's important that everyone out there aggregate this information, and that will help give us an umbrella of protection to expose this stuff, because, like we've mentioned, people like Breitbart have passed. We'll be back. Chris Everard will be joining us, AmericanIntelligenceReport.com. We're here with Popeye and Scotty Lopez.
Do you or someone you know suffer from chest pain, blood pressure, cholesterol, or irregular heartbeat? Are you looking for a more natural solution to overcome these health challenges? You hear the ads all the time. If this stuff's so good, why doesn't my doctor prescribe it? That's easy. Doctors are not trained in natural medicine. Extendivite Heart Tonic does want you to be as healthy as you can be, and it really works. Take Extendivite for 6 months and your doctor will say, I don't know what you're doing, but don't stop. It's working for you. Get the dependability of Extendivite. Just see how you feel in 6 months. A 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid is only $69.95 plus shipping and handling. Call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
I'm getting older and noticing that my body just doesn't work as well as it used to. So I like to keep fit as possible by hitting the gym a few times a week. Recently, I started having a nagging bicep pain, and it got so bad I couldn't even lift the weights. When I was complaining about it to a friend, he told me about angioprim. He said chelation helps remove toxins, heavy metals, and cholesterol in veins and arteries that may cause blockages. You know, after just 1 week of taking Angioprim, the pain was gone, and now I'm back in the gym full strength. Scientific research proves the active ingredient in Angioprim has superior oral chelation action that helps promote cardiovascular health. So to learn more, go to angioprim.com. That's ANGIOPRIM.com, or talk to a trained consultant. Call Angioprim toll-free at 877-882-7221. You'll feel better with more energy. Call 877-882-7221 or go to the website angioprim.com.
Hey everyone, it's Mark Sargent from Strange World, broadcasting live every Tuesday evening, 10 to 12 Eastern, 7 to 9 Pacific, right here on True Frequency Radio. Strange World covers a wide range of topics, from enclosed world theory to lunar waves to the end of the world in film. It's basically doomsday with a silver lining. With the audience as my co-host, we take an optimistic approach to all things conspiracy and promote confidence, hope, and humor whenever possible. If there's a topic you want us to cover or a guest you would like to see interviewed, please email me at msargent23@comcast.net. So please join me and tell your friends about Truth Frequency Radio, the leader in real radio programming, bringing you quality, cutting-edge broadcasts from around the world.
No hate, no hype, no fear. We are EFR, your protection from deception.
Yeah, here we go. AmericanIntelligenceReport.com. Make sure you guys check out the website, AmericanIntelligenceReport.com. Download our very free podcast app. It's available free on your Google Play Android store. Rank it, and don't forget to share it on your friends' tellies or telephones. Speaking of tellies, we have Chris Everard joining us. He's in Paris for the Chris Everard Show. I'm really excited to have him on. And Chris, just to bring you up to speed, we got Popeye with us. Say hello, Popeye.
Hello.
And then we got Scotty Lopez.
Hello,
Scotty.
Mr. Popeye.
Scotty, say hi.
Yeah, very good.
And we just were going over this interesting update on Andrew Breitbart. He posted on his website or on his Twitter on February 4th of 2011 at 1:21 PC this exact quote: "How progressive guru John Podesta isn't a household name as a world-class underage sex slave op cover-upper defending unspeakable dregs escapes me." And the things that make you go,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the mainstream media have shot themselves in the foot again, because you would think, wouldn't you, that the BBC would at least say something about Pizzagate, but they haven't. And, you would think, that they would have the intelligence to at least make up a cover story, but by completely blanking the entire subject matter and not even acknowledging that there are literally millions of people researching it and viewing all the leaked emails that have come from various servers, they've yet again lost even more of their audience. I mean, it was pretty critical. They were coughing up blood before Brexit. Now they're on they're in accident and emergency now in terms of their audience share.
Well, we're seeing them definitely attack the alternative news media. The Rundown Live just appeared on a list of fake news by the LA Times. Mike and I used to do the Rundown Live. Yeah, no surprise, no surprise. But it goes to show you, because Mike and I, when we were doing the show, we were competing with our local TV networks. So our web traffic was better than CBS 58, Fox 6. And it goes to show you, if people work hard and they post the truth and they research the truth and they put together what they can do as the best as they can do, because we were like coast to coast madness with the twist of Wayne's World. You know, we weren't very professional, but you can make a difference and you end up in these lists.
Absolutely. I mean, this year, 2016, this is the year that the merchant banks, the establishment, the British government, they've all been, exposed. I mean, we've had Brexit. That was June 23rd. What have they done? What they've gone and done is they've gone and put blocks in the path of the democratic will of the British people, using the courts. And by the way, the latest judgment was done by a judge who actually earns a living from a European EU superstate think tank. So obviously he's not going to be, impartial to making a ruling that puts another block in the path of Brexit. And really, basically, since June up until now, we've got the US elections. Now we've got this ridiculous situation with Jill Stein. And this is the year. This is the year of great people power progress. And I've just made a TV series. Part 2 goes out on the Enigma channel tomorrow night. And it's really basically a documentary film series. And part 1 is 50 minutes long. And it really shows you the inside track of exactly how, I mean, what I've said in People Power in this new documentary is that it wasn't really a case where the pollsters were getting it wrong. It wasn't a case where, editorials in the London Times and editorials in the Financial Times by people like Lord Jacob Rothschild and all of the major credit rating agencies like Moody's and Standard & Poor. It's not that they got it wrong. It's that they were actually staging a coup. This was a mainstream media coup. And, I've had now 16 different individual cam phone videos from people all over the USA that have been sent to me showing the electronic voting machines with people trying to press the button for Mr. Trump, and it flip-flops and it goes over to Hillary. Now, there's been such a landslide in this election. Only now, today, are we seeing the first statistics for a county-by-county count. And on my Facebook page, it's facebook.com/Christopher Everard, I've actually posted up the 2016 results county by county. And there is just no way that this news story that's been going around now for 2 weeks, where Hillary was meant to have the popular vote, there's just no way. It's impossible. The two statistics do not match up. I mean, it's the biggest lie that's ever been put before the American people. If you look at the map, it's on my Facebook page, it's the official statistics, it's a county by county map, and the USA is virtually all red.
Better coverage than Verizon, huh?
Yeah.
Well, what they're trying to do here in Wisconsin is Jill Stein has raised more money for this recount than she did for her entire presidential run. And she's trying to push for a recount here in Wisconsin. Michigan came out and said that they're giving those delegates to Trump. And I'm interested because Wisconsin is very Masonic. Paul Ryan, the neoconservatives, they really bump heads with, Donald Trump. And I'm from Wisconsin, and those guys are they're wise as serpents, and they're sneaky, and they're slithery, and they're goopy and evil, and I just don't like talking about them. Well, sorry.
Yeah. I mean, you can put Jill Stein into that category because, quite frankly,
what happened there?
Even here in Europe, it is patently obvious that there is something endemically, systematically wrong with these voting systems. Now, Italy is going to the polls this coming Sunday, okay? They are trying to change the constitution of Italy. Why? Because a grassroots people power movement called the 5-Star Truth Movement, run by a comedian, he's not a politician at all, has actually ended up with a third of the seats in the Italian parliament. And now what they're doing is they're actually trying to change the constitutions of these countries. We just had an amazing situation in Iceland. If you remember, the Prime Minister of Iceland resigned, and that was because of the expose of the Panama Papers, where all of these ministers, all of these prime ministers, all of these cabinet members, all of these senior civil servants, they're all telling us, oh, we've got to tighten our belts, we've got to pay more tax. And yet they all have these shell companies set up in the British Virgin Islands, in the Caribbean, various tax haven islands around the world, and they've got not thousands stashed away, they've got millions stashed away. Okay. And what happened, and you know, a lot of people don't actually see this or realize this, David Cameron's government collapsed. Okay, it collapsed because of two things. It collapsed because of the people, because of the Panama Papers expose, and it collapsed because his best friend, his best political ally, which was a man called Patrick Rock, was busted and sentenced in the period where we were doing Brexit. And he was employed. He was one of only 3 people at Downing Street that had his own office. And he was meant to be the internet czar working for his friend David Cameron. His job was supposedly to clean up the internet of child pornography. In actual fact, he got busted with child pornography on a device which he left in a hotel suite. I mean, you know, this is the arrogance of these people. And this guy is really, along with Brexit and the Panama Papers, the reason why the Cameron government collapsed. Did we have a general election? No. The woman who is now Prime Minister, Theresa May, not a soul has voted for this woman to be Prime Minister. Not a soul.
Well, it's all a fraud.
I'm telling everyone in America, when you see Theresa May on her visits, I think she's going to be arriving with you guys tomorrow or the day after. If you see her out on the streets, boo. Okay? Because this woman does not represent the British people by any means whatsoever.
Surprise, surprise, another globalist clown pops up. And, you know, that's the way it goes. I'm curious to see how deep this Podesta WikiLeaks email thing goes. I think Podesta is the tip of the iceberg because, like you mentioned, there's no coverage in Europe on this. The BBC is silent. And what we're seeing here is I think there's a link between the pedophile rings there and the pedophile rings here, and it's all run by globalist scum, by people who are put in charge as gatekeepers, and these elite bankers know that they have blackmail on them and that they got to do whatever they want. Otherwise, you know, you get thrown under the bus. And you know what? I bet you right now the Podestas are scared for their life because I can guarantee you that there's plenty of people that would not like these individuals to be around right now. And no wonder why Julian Assange is ghosted, because with all this coming out, it is very dangerous and very powerful people are probably looking for him at every corner of this planet. You know, so.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. The tentacles of this network do stretch across the Atlantic, and they have done for many, many years. Okay. Now, I'll give you some very interesting parallels that have come up in my research while I've been making this People Power documentary series for the Enigma Channel. There was a guy called Beau Biden, and he was the son of Joe Biden, who's been the vice president with Obama. And Beau Biden is dead. He died of, I think he had some kind of brain tumor. When you look at the Wikipedia page about Beau Biden, you'll see that he had a kind of carbon copy career that's almost identical to Patrick Rock, who's David Cameron's right-hand man, who was busted and sentenced because he had child pornography on one of his computer devices. Beau Biden, actually, he worked for the Justice Department, very, advanced lawyer. And he also headed some kind of justice task force for supposedly cleaning up the kinds of things which we see being published on Instagram by James Alefantis. Now, Beau Biden died, but we can see some very interesting footage of Joe Biden. It's some kind of congressional photo opportunity. There's lots of photographers there, and he is invading the personal space of these young girls. And he's doing it in front of the family, and he's doing it in front of the cameras. Have you seen that footage?
Yeah, like it's no big deal. He's all up in her ear and looks like he's telling her a whole bunch of things she don't want to hear.
Yeah, absolutely.
Our vice president has the nickname of Creepy Uncle Joe.
Yeah, Creepy Uncle Joe.
Okay. So yeah, too, when he grabs them, he gets that look on his face. It's absolutely abhorrent. You're like, ooh,
like I've done this before, you know.
Oh yeah, but he gets this like I'm a guy, and the look creeps me out. So I can imagine what it's like to be a woman and see that, because he gets this look on his face like if he could devour them physically, he would. And I don't mean like in a sexual manner, almost like, you know, if his reptile, maybe he's got a reptile head too that would come out and just eat them.
Like in Aliens, another mouth comes out of his mouth and just sucks the brains out.
It's like that level of you. Obviously, you could see it's perversion, but you know what I mean. Like he literally just looks like he wants to devour them, and it's always like the young wife of somebody or the guy, the one that's the Secretary of Defense right now. I can't remember his name. Ashton Carter, I think is his name. I can't remember his name. Him when he got the position of SecDef and he came in. His wife was up there with him, like, you know, he's doing his little speech, and Joe Biden's rubbing her and touching her, and you can see she's all like, get this thing off me. That's our president. So, yeah, it doesn't surprise me at all if he were connected to any of this. And by the way, I just want to point out, to quote Kevin Costner's character of Jim Garrison in the JFK movie, Oliver Stone JFK, we are through the looking glass. He's talking to his investigative team. He says, we are through the looking glass, people. Black is white and white is black. Up is down. Down is up. Okay, that's what's going on right now. The CPS, Child Protective Services, and they're the ones giving the kids and, you know, pretty much handing them to the pedophiles, right?
Yeah.
You see it all the time. Children whether it's, I mean, we know it's way more deeper and pervasive, and there's child trafficking and stuff. But even if you looked at it on a face value level, they're always placing children in homes where these kids get abused. How is that? If statistically you sucked that bad at your job, you'd be fired. I don't understand how people can't see that it's meant to happen. It's not an accident. Government ineptitude is an excuse. It's an easy excuse. They cover themselves with it. Oops, we're just dumb. Because see, if you pretend you're stupid, people expect less from you, and you can get away with murder.
Well, it's like how they call the Department of Defense. You know, it used to be called the Department of War, and now it's the Department of Defense. And Child Protective Services is actually, you know, child harm services, because that's what they really do. They put them in harm's way.
All the politicians that run this stuff are usually pedophiles. There was one he was in charge of. He was on a committee like a couple years ago in Congress, like protecting the children, whatever the hell the committee's title was, and the guy ends up being a pedophile.
Yeah.
I forget the congressman's name because there's so many of them that this actually happens to. Just look it up. You can actually Google it, look it up. It happened a couple of years ago. This happens all the time.
Well, these are the kind of guys they farm. You got to have garbage on you in order to move up, because they need a way to control you. When I was listening, Myron C. Fagan said this
right on
in the
the head.
60s.
That's exactly what's going on.
In the 1960s, Myron C. Fagan said that the Council on Foreign Relations and descendants of groups like the Illuminati would only promote people through bribery and blackmail. And if they don't have something on you, you won't get there. But they need to have something on you in order to get in. It kind of like that Trevor Moore Illuminati video where he's trying to get into acting career and he has to go stand in front of a bunch of people in a masquerade masks and Baphomet masks and pledge his soul to the Illuminati and do a lewd act with the small children in case he ever gets out of hand, and sign over 2 suicide notes. So this way they have that all covered in case he veers from the path. It's all dark humor, but there's underlying truth to that, to where if you don't have garbage on you, you can't make it in. And it makes me wonder why they are so scared of somebody like Donald Trump. Obviously the Breitbart appointment makes sense now, since Andrew Breitbart obviously knew about this sex ring, and that may be why he died. By the way, for the people on hold on the phone lines, we'll be going to lines after the next break if you guys are all okay with that. I'd like to hear what you guys have to say about Pizzagate, what's going on here with CPS. I actually had a guy call in Friday and talk about how CPS predatorily came and took his child, and when they brought his child back, she was like all abused, and not abused, she had markings and stuff like that on her, and he felt that she was abused. And this CPS is a very predatory system. I've read articles where they actually take children away because the parents smoke marijuana, and then they'll give the child to a former felon, and the child will die. And the parents were fully functional, great jobs, everything else. They just smoked a little doobie every once in a while. And it's almost as if they drool and they can't wait to get that quota in to get your child. Almost like when I listened to Planned Parenthood's Employee of the Year here in Madison, Wisconsin, describe her job as harvesting the best specimen for oh my god. So
it's just so sick.
And that's just the way it is, and that's the way these people think. And this all ties in. I wonder how much of this abortion clinic, selling baby aborted fetal tissue, goes hand in hand with these occultists and their religion. Are they ordering out baby parts?
Oh, it definitely goes hand in hand. And the main link is this woman called Sanger. Margaret Sanger is the link. She was a pagan witch. She was a member of a pagan coven, and she is the woman that actually, advocated abortion right up until the last day before pregnancy. We've got this covert footage of the Planned Parenthood executive negotiating prices for fetuses being literally dragged out of women's wombs, and they said, well, how much money do you want for each of these fetuses? And these were undercover reporters, and when they asked her how much money she wanted, she said, I want a Lamborghini.
And
have you guys
nothing happened to him. Nothing happened to him. Nothing happened to him. And in fact, they went after the people who took the video. In
actual fact, Margaret Sanger was eulogized on stage by Hillary Clinton. Now, this is the really interesting thing, guys, is that Hillary Clinton has had a speechwriter for the last 25 years. And she's a woman, and she's like one of Hillary Clinton's right-hand women. There's basically what I call the unholy trinity. There's Hillary Clinton, there's a speechwriter, and then there's Huma Abedin. Okay? Now, have you guys realized that there is a bookstore directly opposite Comet Ping Pong and Besta Pizza on the same street?
No.
Okay, there's a bookstore. It's called something like Politics and Prose. Okay? Now, this bookstore has really kind of revamped its kind of image, and it's doing coffee house kind of snacks. Now, the catering is being provided by the restaurant which sits between Comet Ping Pong and Besta Pizza. Now, that bookstore is owned by Hillary Clinton's speechwriter, who has been working for Hillary Clinton for 25 years. She's the woman who worked on all the speeches during the presidential campaign. If you remember, Hillary Clinton, in one of the presidential debates, said, I think we should have a no-fly zone in Syria. A no-fly zone. People didn't realize what that really meant. That meant that the USA would take over the complete control, every square millimeter of Syrian airspace. And if humanitarian planes came into it, if passenger jets from civilian airlines went into that airspace, if Putin flew a jet into it, they'd shoot it down. And that would essentially mean the no-fly zone. In this speech written by the woman who owns the bookstore opposite Comet Ping Pong, okay, this would mean declaring war on Russia, because if you start shooting down their military jets, that's what's going to happen. And that was the plan, and that was all part and parcel of what I consider to be a coup. Now, this restaurant that sits between Comet Ping Pong and Besta Pizza is called Little Red Fox, okay? Little Red Fox. Now, why would the guy who owns that restaurant agree to do the catering and provide the food for the bookstore that's directly opposite his own restaurant? What person in their own mind would start a business paying huge rents in Washington, D.C., and then provide catering for the competition? This street, this Connecticut Avenue, I tell you, we have just seen the tiniest tip of the satanic iceberg.
By the way, the House here in Congress, the House and Senate. Well, the House passed a resolution for pretty much a no-fly zone over Syria, very quietly.
Really?
They used it. They used.
They did it yesterday.
Yeah, they used an old trick basically to suspend the rules. Yeah.
My God! Which
is used for smaller things like naming a road or a post office and stuff. And they used that, and they I think it was like 6 or 7 of them, and they ended up they passed this resolution. Now, I mean,
my God!
Just cross your fingers and hope to God that they don't pass it in the Senate.
Yeah,
it passed in the House, but it needs to go through the Senate.
Yeah, so there's still a couple,
Well, they're going to try to ram stuff through before Trump gets in. That's what happens. Yeah, that's the idea.
Yep.
Okay, I want to throw this out there really quick before we go to break, because I know we got like a minute and a half. But I just want people to realize Trump is not as much of a hero as people think he is.
I agree.
The only thing that we chose between was socialism or fascism. So we chose between Stalin or Hitler. And history has shown us that Stalin was way worse than Hitler, right? So we didn't choose Hillary. We didn't choose Stalin. We ended up choosing Hitler, which is Trump. He's a fascist. I mean, he tweeted today to people, and by the way, Hillary thought the same thing. And this actually, going back to the I think it was 99 when the Supreme Court ruled on this, but it was only by one vote, where burning the flag almost became a crime.
Yeah.
Punishable by, like, going to jail. Now, as a veteran, people think, wow, Popeye, you want to burn the flag? No, I don't want to burn the flag. But I took an oath to the Constitution, and I took an oath to defend people's freedom of speech, even if that includes things I don't like. Okay? I don't like Nazis. I don't like skinheads. But, if they want to have their little marches, these neo-Nazis, and they want to walk around and talk about white power, like I find their message totally abhorrent, and I think they're all idiots. Okay? It's my personal opinion. But guess what? I have to defend their right to free speech. Even if I think what they're saying is absolutely abhorrent. My grandmother was in a concentration camp in World War II. Okay? Trust me. I find neo-Nazis abhorrent. But guess what? I have to stand up for their right to free speech, just like I have to stand up for somebody's right to burn a flag, even if whether I agree with it or not, whether I'm a veteran or not. Otherwise, what happens when I want my free speech?
We'll be back from the break, guys. AmericanIntelligenceReport.com. Popeye with an epic rant. We'll be back in 3 minutes. Open lines, 1-866-378-7884. Guys, get in the call lines. We'll be picking up your phone calls after this break. Join the phone lines.
Truth Frequency Radio is your #1 source for news and information without the hate, hype, and fear. We are proud to bring you cutting-edge programs like The Kev Baker Show, The Freedom Link with Joe Joseph, Truth Frequency with Chris and Shuri Geo, The Christopher Everard Show, X Squared with Brooks Agnew, Down the Rabbit Hole with Popeye. Freaky Friday with the Wool Crew. Waking Up the Masses with Robert Bruce. Phoenix Rising Radio and dozens more. Did you know you can listen from any computer, mobile device, or from any telephone by dialing 832-225-5308. Or call into your favorite show toll free at 866-37-TRUTH. Uncensored talk and news you won't hear in the mainstream media 24 hours a day. Truth Frequency Radio. We are EFR, your protection from deception.
Tennessee fire forces evacuations. Deadly Brazilian plane crash. I'm Evan Haining. Wildfires continue to burn in the Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg region of Tennessee. No fatalities reported, but several people are being treated for severe burns. And correspondent Jennifer Gray reports hundreds of structures have been destroyed.
It has been a horrific 24 hours for these people. They don't know if they will have a home to return to. A lot of them don't know if their neighbors are safe. They don't know if their pets are okay. Some people had to get out too quickly.
More than 70 people are dead and 6 have survived the crash of a plane carrying members of Brazil's Chapecoense soccer team. Correspondent Rafael Romo reports the plane crashed near Medellin, Colombia.
Access to the site of the accident is not easy. We're talking about rugged mountains and a high altitude. Chapecoense was on its way to play Game 1 of 2 in the South American Cup. The match was to be held on Wednesday.
The Dow is 18 points higher right now, S&P up 4. I'm Evan Haining. President-elect Trump will kick off a post-election thank you tour Thursday in Cincinnati. Meantime, correspondent Sarah Murray reports he's announcing more additions to the coming Trump administration.
Trump will choose Tom Price, a congressman, to be the Secretary for Health and Human Services, and also that he's going to choose Seema Verma. She's a healthcare policy CEO, to be the new administrator for the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services.
We're learning more about Abdul Artan, the student who went on a stabbing rampage at Ohio State University Monday. Correspondent Rosa Flores reports.
Authorities now looking into posts he made on his Facebook page, expressing grievances about crimes against Muslims, posted moments before the attack, saying, quote, "I am sick and tired of seeing my fellow Muslim brothers and sisters being killed and tortured."
This is Giving Tuesday, when Americans and others worldwide are encouraged to give to the charities of their choice, especially those that serve their local community. I'm Evan Haining.
This is Truth Frequency Radio.
The wicked ones obviously under heavy Masonic influence.
Now, you don't know it yet, but you are listening to History in the Making while you are listening to this show.
We know now that in the early years of the 20th century, this world was being watched closely by intelligences greater than man, yet as mortal as his own.
I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, "I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!"
Out in Milwaukee, here's Kristan T. Harris with the American Intelligence Report.
Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are around the world. I'm your host, Kristan T. Harris, and this is your American Intelligence Report. On today's show, we've been having a roundtable discussion about Pizzagate. Joining me today is Popeye from Down the Rabbit Hole, one of my favorite shows out there. Definitely. Popeye, plug your stuff real quick.
Okay, well, everybody can hear me right now over on YouTube, DTRH Radio Archives, DTRH Radio Archives, and all of my audio archives are available over at PopeyeRadio.com. And, of course, my, 10-year plus iconic website of just, it's a plethora of information, federaljack.com. Thank you for the shameless plugs, Kristan.
Hey, no, you know what? I love you, bro, and I miss you a little bit. So, Chris Everard, he's in Paris currently. He does the Enigma channel. Chris, tell our listeners a little bit about your program and where they can find more information about you before we go to lines.
Okay, well, the Enigma channel, it's a bit like WikiLeaks, except it's all documentary films. Okay, so I've been making documentary films now for 20 years. and they're covering the subjects that really the mainstream media should be covering in depth. And we travel the entire world. There's full-length movies, and there's thousands of documentaries. And you won't find them on Netflix. You won't find them on YouTube. They are really in-depth, and they cover everything from Satanism through to how to build your own off-grid house. And like I say, we travel the entire world, and they're very, very in-depth documentaries. And it's enigmatv.com, enigmatv.com, or enigmachannel.com, which is our members site. And it's a completely independent network. We were broadcasting on the web 7 years before YouTube was even invented. And basically, we've got our new TV series, which is People Power. And we have interviews with absolutely everyone. Fritz Springmeier, David Icke, Jim Mars, you name it, they're all there. And then we've also got lots of documentaries which we filmed out in Africa. There's documentaries about kind of secret shamanism, secret earth energies, ley lines, hauntings, scandals, Jack the Ripper, scandals with the monarchy, all the kinds of things that just get deleted and taken down off of YouTube as soon as they're uploaded. That's what the Enigma channel really is.
Chris, you know what's funny is I bumped into Jim Mars this weekend. I talked to him, and I asked him if he'd take me on a trip to Jurassic Park. He got a giggle out of that. I guess it wasn't the first time someone said that he looked like the tour guide from the movie Jurassic Park. we had a pretty good conversation. He's a funny guy. He's got a great sense of humor, and I'll have to have him on the show. He wrote the book Ruled by Secrecy about the underbelly of Freemasonry and how it affects politics and secret societies. Very interesting stuff. And we also got Scotty Lopez. Scotty, go ahead, plug your show and what you're doing nowadays.
Yeah, well, I co-host a show with Kenneth Webb, a.k.a. Change the Channel, on Thursdays. Right here on Truth Frequency Radio. Comes on at 8 o'clock Central Time, called The Quest for Truth. And you can go to our Facebook page, just search Quest for Truth. And I also co-host with Chris Everard on his show on Sundays.
Yeah, it does a great job.
Thank you very much.
Nothing like feedback live on air.
That's what.
So
yeah, that's what we're doing. And yeah, just head over, check out the Quest for Truth on Facebook, and check out Everard's show too.
You know what's wonderful is that we're all just average people. We're like we all came from basic backgrounds. We decided that we wanted to make a difference, that we wanted to change the world around us, and we've been making an impact. We've been doing our own shows. Scotty's on Truth Frequency. Down the Rabbit Hole with Popeye. He has a huge following, a lot of listeners all around on YouTube. Definitely check him out. And Chris Everard, obviously, our Paris homie, he's over there and he's doing damage himself. And we're going to go ahead and go to the open lines. If you guys want to call in, 1-866-378-7884, 1-866-378-7884. And we're going to take our first caller here, guys. We are going to go ahead, and we got Louisiana, Baton Rouge. How you doing? Baton Rouge, welcome to the American Intelligence Report. What do you have for us on Pizzagate?
Oh, my goodness. That's just the tip of the iceberg. Popeye, you there?
Oh, I'm here.
Can Popeye hear me?
Yeah, we can all hear you.
And, cool. I'm friends with Liam Schiff, a guy who went to the CEDU school in California. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Cool. So I don't want to really make too many jokes about stupid stuff like flat Earth or any of that stuff. I've kind of gotten really fed up with, people like Mark Dice and Alex Jones, and we can keep going down the list, but I am friends with William Ramsey. I have been looking into not only satanic ritual abuse, but also something called trauma-based mind control and things along those lines. And when I started seeing videos with people I knew in them saying they were in this secret satanic Illuminati group that had to deal with the gay black mafia and stuff, I kind of got a little upset. So I've listened to Roseanne Barr speak about MK Ultra too much. And sorry, this does affect me because the school I went to had connections to Eckhart Seminar Training, Landmark Forums, and a cult called Synanon that was started by a guy named Mel Washerman and Chucky Dietrich. And there was a lot of covered up pedophilia out there in California, from what I understand.
It seems like the tentacles of what's going on with this Podesta email is really resonating with a lot of people out there. There's a lot of people that are coming forward. I've gotten a call, like I said, last Friday, a similar story, but it was more about the CPS encroachment. People are being affected, and it's crazy to think that they've been able to get away with this for so long. But now you see that the gatekeeper is the person in the highest power who investigates pedophile rings. Well, then everything starts to make a lot more sense. You put the gatekeeper there, the gatekeeper decides who rises, who falls, and while they do it, they work on these.
The pizza guy.
Yeah, the pizza guy, Pizzagate.
Right. Well, it's that Besta pizza guy. Everyone keeps talking about there's like, isn't there like 2 different pizza places there?
Yeah. Yeah, there's 2, yeah.
And then, what's his name? I hate to say it. King Trump appointed what's her name to be in charge of education. And she has no credibility to be in that position whatsoever.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, 99.9% of all politicians don't have any qualifications that relate to their jobs.
Yeah, one of our assemblywomen
really basically they are glove puppets.
Yeah, one of our assemblywomen used to run a Hardee's.
You know about the Hampstead cover-up over there in the United Kingdom, don't you, sir?
Yeah, yes, I do. Yes, I do. I covered it very, very kind of comprehensively, and I've interviewed the mother of those children. And again, I have to say this to the listeners. It's a very, it's a really tough thing. If you're going to read all of the information about that particular Hampstead case, it's, it really is disgusting what was going on. And those children have been snatched. Yeah, the father, that's right. The father was really running this witch coven. And this witch coven, actually, I have to say this to the listeners, it goes way back. Okay, the Hampstead situation unfurled about 18 months ago. However, that coven was already operating back in the late 1960s. They called themselves the Regency Coven. They used to have meetings at midnight on certain full moon nights in Hampstead Heath in the woods. This is so deep into the establishment, it's untrue. It really is going on. And, we have so much corroborative kind of things coming up. For example, they were shipping babies using international couriers. I'm talking about DHL. I'm talking about UPS. I'm talking about your everyday Federal Express type couriers. They were shipping babies and fetuses between covens, and they would arrive in the boxes. Okay, there were babies and fetuses arriving from third world countries like Thailand, and what they were doing is so sick it almost stuns the mind. They were roasting these babies, they were roasting fetuses, and this was a school in Hampstead, which is a very, very rich area of London. A house costs $5 million. Can you imagine, that you've got this school in the middle of this area of London, which is packed with multi-millionaires, and these children at this school were not only abused in terms of, satanic rites, but they were even being told to eat their own excrement and mix it in with their own food, and being told by the teachers, this is normal. Okay. This case, okay, it proves that we are dealing with a global interconnected network of secret societies. And I have to say this, Satanism and pedophilia are 2 sides of the same coin. Now, there's a lot of people who never said that, but these things are so interrelated that, it's only now and through broadcasts like this and through members of the public like you, sir, that come forward and actually discuss these things, we are right now, right this minute, we are at the beginning of a massive awakening. And the people, the ordinary people, are not going to stomach it. And I can tell you now, the CIA, okay, if we're expecting the CIA or the FBI or Scotland Yard in London to actually make a move on James Alefantis or any of these people, we'll be waiting forever, because blackmail is the name of the game when it comes to these covens. They film everything. They record everything. You know, you're not going to get invited to one of these pool parties or these pizza parties without some kind of camera running in the corner.
So do you want to bring up the Franklin conspiracy with Bryan Singer? Or should
Absolutely. Absolutely. There is a very, very good documentary film that covers all of that. And we can see what damage it does to people's lives. There are people that are homeless on the streets because of alcoholism and because of psychological problems, because really basically of two reasons. First of all, they were abused. And secondly, they got talked into this kind of madcap scenario where Lucifer is the good guy and all these Christians, they're all just sheeple and they're all idiots.
Well, it's Gnosticism.
This phenomenon goes hand in hand with each other.
It's a Gnosticism versus Christianity. You know, for example, you can still see God's Son walk on water on any shimmering dusk or dawn when the sun is glowing on the water. They take it in a Gnostic way, and it's a form of Luciferian sun worship, and they feel that Christianity or the story of Christ is
100% correct.
Is a counterfeit, so they hate us.
You're 100% correct.
Yep.
And I deal with dissociative identity disorder.
Yep.
I really do. And it's one of the things that I have been looking into for about 5 years ago, when I actually read an article that the high school I went to in California had links between Alcoholics Anonymous, Synanon, and I'm going to avoid saying the other word because it triggers a lot of people that know about Gnostic, Kabbalah, and that little crazy motherfucker by the name of Elron.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Now, you've hit the nail right on the head. You've hit the nail right on the head. Because, quite frankly, there's about 15,000 people who are members of the so-called caliphate of the Ordo Templi Orientis. Okay?
Yeah, they got two.
They have... Yeah, their official name for their so-called religion is a Greek word, and it's called thelema. Yep, thelema. Now, the Greek word thelema, it means willpower, okay? Now, in the ancient Egyptian pyramid texts, which are at the Pyramid of Unas in Saqqara, you can go and see them. It's open to the public. It's no secret. You can walk in there and you can take photographs yourself. You have got the secret creation myths of the entire world. And what you have is you have 8 gods. They're called the Ogdode. They're mentioned by Albert Pike. They're in all of these books about black magic. Okay. This is all there. It's all there for people to see. You can double check everything that I'm going to be saying now. And these Ogdode...
I can vouch for this.
Yeah, there were 4 males, 4 females. The females had human bodies, but the heads of serpents. And the male gods in ancient Egyptian mythology had male human bodies, but the heads of amphibians. Okay? And they're called the Ogdode. And they were meant to have created everything. They were meant to have created all of the life that we see on the planet today. And they did it through willpower. And that in Greek is thelema. Now, these 8 gods lived in the ocean of chaos, or the ocean of none. And that's what's written and carved into rock inside this pyramid. It's the Pyramid of Unas. You can go there. You can photograph it yourself. It's all been translated. This is all in the university degree textbooks about Egyptology. And the ocean of chaos was called the ocean of none. None is the 14th letter of the Hebrew alphabet. 14. And what do we see? We see John Podesta with the number 14 written on the inside of his hand. And what do we see on the other hand? We see a little fish. And
now, can I interject?
Yeah.
Because isn't that flirty fishing, children of God stuff?
Oh, yeah, that's children. Absolutely. You're absolutely 100% correct. That's for flirty fishing. That's the children of God, and that's David Berg. Yeah.
Right.
You got it. You got it. Absolutely. That is yet again.
Now, why? Now, that Stuart Swerdlow, I'm sorry to bring him up, but for some reason that dude's been rubbing me the wrong way for a year.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've been talking with those MK Ultra supposed peoples and also the people at the Montauk Project.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. The Montauk Project, okay. I had Alexandra Bruce as a guest on my show, and she was there, and she interviewed Preston Nichols, she interviewed Stuart Swert, she interviewed absolutely everybody on that Montauk Project. And she is a great researcher, and she appeared on a television show that was produced by Crowleyites. I have to say this, that nearly every single show that you see on mainstream TV is made by people who are part of this network. I can tell you that now. And Alexandria, she said to me that her conclusion was that all of those people were involved in homosexual pedophilia and weird mysticism. So there you go.
Can we bring up Max Spears?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
I mean, I'm friends with his ex. So, what happened to him? Why? I mean, I kind of know he had a bad relapse or whatever you want to say, and they got him.
Yeah.
What happened after he passed away? His mother needs answers.
I do not know.
And I don't think anybody knows.
Yeah, it's a complete mystery. That is, I tell you now, somebody with resources and with the good investigation training needs to really look into this Max Spears situation for sure. That is one of these things. I mean, how many of these suspicious deaths have we got now? Okay, just in the last few months. This is in the last few months, not years.
Mm-hmm.
We have had the guy that actually contacted Julian Assange and leaked the Democratic Party emails because he was so disgusted with what he was seeing in these emails, shot dead in cold blood round the corner from his own home. What did the police do? They labeled that as a robbery. Was anything stolen? No. Now, if you look in the dictionary, a robbery means that something's been thieved from someone. That guy had all of his credit cards. He had all of his money. That is not a robbery. Okay, that is a political assassination. And you know what? About 2 weeks before then, we had exactly the same thing. We had a political assassination in England with a member of parliament having a head blown off. Her name is Jo Cox, and that is also a political assassination. That was all over Brexit.
Chris, I'm going to point something out. A lot of people are going to think that, like, what you just said might sound crazy. Like, oh, come on, he's just saying that because he's trying to, get clicks to his website or anything. But
no way.
For the listeners, so the listeners have a good understanding. For those of you that might be hearing this kind of stuff for the first time and might not be used to it, I'm sure you've all watched Hollywood films or TV. Here's a good representation. Has anyone ever seen the movie Shooter with Mark Wahlberg? Okay.
Of course.
Okay, well, in that movie, right, the cop that supposedly stops him, the hero local cop, the big fat cop that supposedly stops him, a couple days later is killed in a what? In a robbery by a gangland thug who later on is eventually, they probably don't mention this, but usually guys like that are gunned down themselves within a week or two in a drive-by shooting. See, the way a lot of these hits are done is they go and they actually recruit gang members to do it. Remember, who brought crack to the inner cities? The CIA, right?
Freeway Ricky Ross.
Exactly. So there are still connections to this very day. They still understand, how to reach out to different gangs. Different gangs are, when you start to research gangs, you'll see some of those are actually, some of that goes into control by the very same people. It's like Operation Chaos. They create the chaos, and then they come in with their already pre-planned, order, whatever that agenda. Right, exactly. So for people that might think that, like Chris saying that people are just taken out like that, and it said, well, it was a robbery. That's what the news said, that the police wouldn't lie. That's what the police said. Well, you get the right, again, you have people that are sheriffs and police officers who are part of this Babylonian Brotherhood, as David Icke calls it, or even William Cooper always talks about Mystery Babylon, right? So you have this Babylonian Brotherhood, whatever you want to call them, the satanic groups, whatever, right? There are people in positions of power in the sheriff's offices, in police departments, DAs, mayors, whatever, people in positions of power that can control things. And you only need one or two individuals. Fletcher Prouty talked about this in his book, The Secret Team, how the CIA controls everything, and I mean every aspect of every government job there is. Every government agency, there's a CIA agent in there pretending to be someone that's working there, when in reality they're actually working for the CIA. It's called the Secret Team. And Fletcher Prouty talks about how if they can know, if just like on the CIA level, imagine what it's like on the much darker satanic network level and how pervasive that is. You only need one or two people in the right positions, and they can cover everything up and make everything go away. Yeah. John Doe was shot by a robber. Oh, it's so sad. A gangland robbery. Oh, whatever. And then the general public, remember, it's not really, it's all about that 15-second soundbite that the news media feeds to the general public. And the general public doesn't do as much research, unfortunately. Well, nowadays they are, but we have to keep their focus. We can't let them get comfortable because Trump is the president now. We have to keep everybody, hey, that energy you had before the election, keep researching, keep focusing, because it's still there. The bad guys didn't go away because Trump got elected. It's not just Clinton. This network of pedophilic, satanic.
Well, okay.
Hey guys, we're coming across break. I don't want to cut you guys off here, and this is a great conversation, and I want to keep it going. But we got break coming up here in a minute, and I just wanted to punctuate real quick on something that Popeye said. How they have the right people in the right areas. Majority of police are involved in something called the Fraternal Order of Police. The Fraternal Order of Police got its start in the Masonic lodges of Pennsylvania. It is a Freemasonic, which the Freemasons are Mystery Babylon. Many of them are part of this Gnosticism, this Luciferianism. And not only that, in Wisconsin, guess what? Who our Attorney General was? Our Attorney General was J.B. Von Hollen, also Wisconsin's top Freemason. Just to punctuate Popeye's point. Now, I'm not saying he was involved in anything wrong or illegal, but I've heard murmurs from former Masons who claim that he was involved with Fast and Furious, and who knows? I don't even know. It's all just rumors and hearsay. So I just throwing stuff out there that, there is some truth. Some of these individuals in the Mystery Babylon religion do hold, prominent positions. They go to their Masonic lodges and do their occultic rituals, and they scheme and they plan, and obviously they only promote other brothers in the craft. We'll be back. We'll see you guys in 3 minutes. Open lines, 1-866-378-7884. Call on in, AmericanIntelligenceReport.com. What a great show we're having today. Doing a little dance, guys. It's my morning dance. That's all I got.
Popeye, you there?
Hi everyone, Chris Gio here, founder of Truth Frequency Radio. We're approaching dire times as we move into 2017. There's no telling what will happen when Obama leaves office, or if he even will. Every day we get a ton of emails from concerned listeners, and it's quite apparent that everyone is getting nervous about what's just around the corner. But in a recessed economy, what are we supposed to do? Here at TFR, we've secured a limited amount of 3-day food supplies for the wholesale price of $10. They typically retail for $24.99. However, if you go to preparewithtfr.com right now, you can get 16 servings of delicious, storable food with a 25-year shelf life for only $10. Look, we can't do this forever, and we have to limit this to 4 per person, please. But you can get a jump start on this right now by going to preparewithtfr.com to get a 72-hour food supply for only $10. That's preparewithtfr.com.
Hi, folks. In a world of GMO, genetically modified organisms, that is, chemicals, processed foods, and a healthcare system that's unraveling like a cheap suit, it's time to prepare. God created herbs, and herbs help man. Our body can heal itself, just sometimes we need assistance. You need some help? GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. Our mild detox is quite powerful with its unique blend of 8 different herbs. And if you're looking for more, our non-GMO supplements will help you with different needs you might have. Health should be a top priority. Take care of your health naturally. Log on to GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. Give your body a treat. Let the herbs do their thing naturally. Read all the testimonies on the website, GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. Sickness and viruses are like intruders, and herbs are like warriors. Let the tea work for you. That's GetTheTea.com.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Oh, this you crazy mother.
Tune into the Awakening Liberty Show every Saturday and Sunday at 2 p.m. Pacific Time. It's a hard-hitting program focused on topics that the mainstream media just will not touch. Truth, freedom, and liberty. Vaccines, GMOs, chemtrails, 9/11, truth, biblical prophecy, and the New World Order agenda. Featuring news, commentary, and analysis from experts, authors, and activists. Visit AwakeningLibertyShow.com for a complete calendar of upcoming events and guests. Awakening Liberty with Sean Carone, freeing one manipulated mind at a time.
Real people, real radio. Wherever you are, make it TFR. Truth Frequency Radio.
I got static here.
AmericanIntelligenceReport.com. We're having a Pizzagate roundtable right now, and I pulled up this pretty interesting video of Andrew Breitbart because it looks like this guy knew what was going on before it even happened. Here it is.
This is a concerted effort. This is a concerted effort. Politics of personal destruction. Fuck you, John Podesta.
All right, well, you see where I'm coming from.
Okay, yeah.
When I talk, that's because I'm interested in this ongoing whatever the hell they're doing.
What's in your closet, John Podesta? Big Podesta? Big Soros? Do you want us to play these games? Because we're playing to win.
And that was Andrew Breitbart, who predicted this John Podesta fiasco. And he posted on his Twitter that, quote, how progressive guru John Podesta isn't a household name as a world-class underage sex slave op cover-upper defending unspeakable dregs escapes me. end quote. And obviously, everyone knows Andrew Breitbart died mysteriously January 1st, just after midnight of, 2012, right when maybe it was 13. It was either 12 or 13, right when the NDAA passed and the president of America was allowed to have a assassination hit list. And for you listeners out there that don't believe me, please Google the National Defense Authorization Act, which now also has been updated to allow our media to lie to us. But because before it was illegal, well, now they just legitimized it. And yes, we're going to spend $500 million making fake ISIS videos. I don't know if you guys saw that. That came out in recent reports that our Pentagon invested $500 million taxpayer dollars to try to convince Americans that ISIS soldiers and Foot Clan masks like in Ninja Turtles were lifting logs and tearing down ancient statues, and we needed to go to war.
Yeah, and those videos were made in London.
Yeah,
by the Spin Doctor company that had actually handled Margaret Thatcher and had revamped her personal image. And it was done by a professional London advertising agency. And they deliberately went out and they bought old-fashioned video cameras that recorded on VHS-C format so that it would look like they were, being made by jihadists. And the whole thing is that 500 million was spent on making those fake videos, fake jihadist extremist videos. And the actual kind of idea is that this would be an online ambush because they would be uploaded and then they were collecting the IP of everybody that actually watched those videos.
Can I also mention
all documented.
Go ahead, Scotty.
Well, I was just going to say that, going back to the Pizzagate thing, the catalyst to all of this, and this also, goes back to the assassinations and political assassinations and stuff, that the catalyst to all of this Pizzagate investigation with WikiLeaks started with that weird email about Scalia's death with the code words, with the code word of wet works and pool parties, and that's what kind of got people looking for code words in all of these emails, because the Podesta email regarding the death of Scalia, it was like 4 days before Scalia's death, and there was that weird email, and the sentence didn't make sense because it was talking about wet works and pool parties at the vineyard and stuff like that, and that's what got people sort of looking in the direction of looking for code words in the emails instead of just sort of blatant things, just set out in the open. And I think that was what sort of led people down this rabbit hole, and then it led to the Pizzagate thing.
Absolutely. You got it absolutely 100% correct. Yeah. And now, of course, we see that it's not just John Podesta. We see that it's Tony Podesta as well. And we also see that it's Hillary's speechwriter who owns the bookstore on Connecticut Avenue that's directly opposite Comet Ping Pong. And we also see now that Comet Ping Pong has received grants. And one of those grants came from an organization that's backed by George Soros. Now, why on earth, I've got two questions here. Why on earth would George Soros put more than $11,000 into a Washington, D.C. pizza parlor? And also, why is it that Obama hosted a phone bank event at Comet Ping Pong? Why? When Washington, D.C. is full of all these amazing venues. I mean, for example, you can rent the Benjamin Franklin Monument. You can rent it. You can rent it for the night, and they have catering staff, and they turn it into a pretty amazing restaurant. And I've posted up photographs of people hosting events there. Why would they go to Comet Ping Pong?
Because they're all pedophile scumbags who should be.
They like the artwork. The artwork is nice. Have you seen the artwork? It shows little children doing sex acts. What business could get away with that? Who's going to come in and get pizza and be like, "What the hell is that on the wall?" Nobody's going to notice that. People should already know. I'm surprised these places are even staying in business. They're only staying in business probably because these globalist scum. I bet you could probably do a who's who of who goes in there and gets pizza, and have a good idea of who's involved in these rings. I would pull up credit card receipts from these businesses to find out what politicians go there often, just to get an idea of who hangs out at these pedophile-like joints where they have pedophile art of small children doing despicable acts that make me want to puke on air. It's just disgusting. I get angry. People out there just like, what? Pizzagate? What's that? Pizzagate. Oh, you mean WikiLeaks email? Oh, those are fake. It's all compromised. You have a right to look into this. If you have a heart, you should not be making fun of this. And I can't believe people in the media are just sitting back with their thumbs half up their ass and nobody's looking into this. Where's the FBI? Does the FBI have their hand in the cookie jar? Is that why they're not investigating this? What's going on? I'm serious. It makes me mad. I'm upset about it.
Let's look at this from. I want to take a step back.
I'll let you talk first. Go ahead.
MoveOn.org, George Soros funded Ferguson, Missouri, causing racial disparity, we'll say, just to be politically correct as I can be at this moment. Because my bigger issue with George Soros was his funding NAMBLA. And a lot of people don't know that he gave a bunch of money to NAMBLA.
That's very, very interesting. Now, NAMBLA is something to do with male men and their love of young boys, isn't it? NAMBLA.
American Man-Boy Love Association. It's absolutely like the most screwed up thing.
That's a real thing? Like I can Google that right now?
A real thing. I know people are like, no way. No, the first time I heard of it, I was like, that's not real. I was like,
what's the acronym? How do I type it in?
It's NAMBLA, just like it's NAMBLA.
Yep, there it is. NAMBLA.
Of the Man-Boy Love Association.
It's absolutely abhorrent. Anyway, the pizza place would just be a front company. The money would come from, probably the child trafficking. And
I don't want to even press on this link.
Various things are going on. But just remember one thing. I want to throw this out there really quick. We're talking about kids. We're talking about, innocent, like front-facing thing like a pizzeria. How about a school? Remember what Ted Gunderson talked about, the McMartin School. Students were, taken to a school, and then they talked about that during the day they were taken away in cars, sometimes jets, whatever, and taken, maybe 10 miles, 30 miles, maybe hundreds of miles to different locations, or at the school itself. They've taken to houses where they were into the basements where there were chambers set up, underground chambers around the school set up, to do, you could call it torture, but it was more like satanic ceremonies, whatever. And again, it doesn't matter if you believe in this, ladies and gentlemen. There's a lot of people, I don't believe in that, Popeye. I'm atheist. Oh, that's great. I'm glad you don't believe in it. But the people that have their fingers on the levers of power, they believe in it. So your belief in whether or not you really believe in it or given any power has no bearing on the situation. These people believe in it, and they are concentrating their energy, and they are putting all of their effort into this dark whatever. Okay, so it does exist. Hey. We manifest our own reality. Quantum physics dictates this. So these people are manifesting this, and there's enough of them that it's our shared reality. So we need to do something about it because it's very much real. Just, you have to look into this. I know everything that you're hearing from all these people on this roundtable today sounds crazy, but it's not. It's because we've all...
Hey, Popeye, I got something for you personally. I don't know if you realize who you're speaking with. This is Lee. Let's talk about Florida. Mel Sembler, Publix. Do you know about Mel Sembler and Betty Sembler and their connection to like the troubled teen industry?
Enlighten us.
I like I said, is I went to a school in Northern California that had connections to a school called CEDU. Now that links to a guy named Robert Litchfield, which links to Mitt Romney. And then also, like I said, as I've looked into this for over 5 or 6 years, since Liam Sheff and I went to the same school. And I'll plug Jay Dyer too. Everyone go buy Jay Dyer's book. I haven't read it yet myself, but I'm sure it's an awesome read. That's the stuff I've been really researching for 5 years now. And I'm not a Mason. I'll be very honest about that. But I know them. I am in Oklahoma. So when people mention Albert Pike, I'm like, oh, Sir Albert Pike, the Grand Commander. You know, the lodge here in Guthrie, Oklahoma is quite beautiful. It's very interesting, to say the least. I'm sure there's other places I'd like to go see soon, too. And like I said, as I've spoken with a lot of these people about this stuff, because I support America, and I support the Fraternal Order of the Police Officers. And, yes, the stuff when I was looking into the Seville case with the Hampstead stuff 2 years ago, it really brought it home for me when I was sitting here going, okay, I know that the school I went to had a pedophile at it, and they kind of paid off the family and covered it up. This can't be predominant through all these different schools in America. And then I learned about Samoa, Casa by the Sea, Tranquility Bay, Elon School up in Maine, and child abuse, and this stuff seems to be running rampant through a lot of these private institutional schools and rehabilitation places and different things. And, you know, like I said, that's why when this stuff popped up with the Pizzagate stuff, you know, I'm the kind of person that's going to go, okay, I already know there's a cipher code here. What's Pizzagate got to do with Con Air? Got to do with Travelgate? Got to do with the Mena, Arkansas stuff? And I do think it's all connected.
It's all global. It's all connected. In Wisconsin, there were rumors in Burlington, Wisconsin, they were using underground caves. Our children, Mary Sutherland said that to me personally. I don't know if I should share there or not, but they'd have meetings discussing, and they said the local police were involved, a whole bunch of bizarre stuff. Whether or not that's true, a lot of that's hearsay, but, you know, for some people who have gone through the trauma, they know how things work. They've seen it. There's people that have done investigation, and you don't have to be a brainiac to understand that there's codes going on. You know, that the term pizza, you know, it means, what is it? Cheese pizza, small girl, hot dog is young boy, walnut is a person of color, Domino's is BDSM. I think I said that right. I don't even know. And it's just all there, and they use it in the emails. And, you know, it's just that easy, and nobody's investigating these WikiLeaks, and they've even been authenticated by Google. The WikiLeaks were authenticated as they were officially sent by Google, I believe, from what I understand.
7.62 is how you clean all of this up.
7.62.
Yeah. Just saying.
What's that?
7.62 Full Metal Jacket. That's how you solve that problem.
Yeah.
Just saying.
But guys, it's okay because Snopes came out and said that Pizzagate's fake, so we can all go home now.
Oh, when did this happen? Nice.
Yeah. Snopes is funded by Soros.
Yeah, it's George Soros funded.
And you know, they're so full of crap that their eyes are turned. It's just, I mean, anytime the government needs something covered up, they're like, well, Snopes, you know, the media is like, well, Snopes said it, so it's got to be true. And by the way, the media is not going to cover this. I just want to point this out. Corey Feldman has pointed out, okay, routinely, that the entertainment industry is rife with pedophilia and these same sick individuals. Well, look at the owners of the news networks. ABC's owned by Disney. I really don't think you're going to get news there. And by the way, for people wondering, about 2 weeks ago, Corey Feldman, I saw he was on I guess the Tonight Show or something, one of these late night talk shows.
He was.
And he acted
with
like
his angels.
Yeah, he acted like a complete, I guess he was doing some weird thing or whatever, and people were like, oh, what's going on? What's going on is somebody sat down with Corey, and remember, he went through programming. So once you start to, as they get older, the programming breaks down. A lot of times it's harder to control, but a lot of those compartments are still there, and they can be accessed if they're still functional. And then this is getting deep into how mind control works. But basically, to me, what I saw was somebody sat down with him eventually and got him under control. And they're getting him under control. That's why you see the weirdness, because then it makes him look like an idiot. Because the media is going to focus on the weird whatever. Why did Corey Feldman do this weird thing? And
I'm a huge fan of Corey's. I'm a huge fan of the two Coreys.
Corey Haim and Corey Feldman.
About this for a second. Why do you think Corey's not naming his abuser? And I've already seen the video about the two Coreys, and I already know who molested Corey Haim. And if you don't know the movie Lucas, look into it.
Yeah, and that's another example how Hollywood is used in this situation. Most people don't understand where Hollywood even gets its name. I was listening to an older tape by a guy named Myron C. Fagan. He was a Jewish broadcaster in the 60s, and he did a wonderful vinyl series, The History of the Council on Foreign Relations and the Illuminati. But he also did one about Red Hollywood, which explained where the globalist leaders, much like in the UN, got together and decided that Hollywood would be the location where all trends and customs and fashion would come from. And it's funny that they chose the name Hollywood, because you guys know what the magic wand is made out of, right? It's made out of holly tree or holly wood. And just like a conductor who uses a magic wand made of Hollywood gets the musicians to play to the tune of his wand, Hollywood has America dancing to the tune of their cult-like fashion, their cult-like rituals, and everything that comes from Hollywood is popular. Look at TV.
You do realize Hollywood comes from an ancient cult that ran around in the desert, and their whole thing was putting on shows like that, and in many cases it was the performance was ceremonial, but that was their whole thing. Hollywood actually comes, like the Screen Actors Guild and all of that. Hollywood, like people say, well, Hollywood's a cult. No, it really is. Just like all these other major religions started out in the desert.
There's a few cults in LA.
Years ago. Same thing.
Right?
Yeah, you got the Red String Wares, you've got the Blue Building, you got Celebrity Center, you've got, Laurel Canyon, and that goes back to the MK Ultra stuff, which, like, a lot of people forget, like up in San Francisco, is the Bohemian Boys Club.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's San Francisco, yeah.
Bohemian Grove.
And and like I said, I've always been kind of one of those guys that I'm not going to steer away from discussing or looking into that stuff just because, I love Moloch, and there's a cement thing, and these guys go in there and run around. As Bill Clinton even said, run around in the naked, those Republicans running around in the redwoods naked.
Yeah, absolutely. Hollywood, dare I say these three words, Wizard of Oz. The occult symbology in that movie is off the scale. And what do we see with Tony Podesta? We see photographs of Tony Podesta having a wine and cheese party with all of his buddies there. And they're all wearing just ordinary clothes. Most of them have got suits on. But when you look down at their feet, they're all wearing ruby slippers, crimson red slippers. Now, if you look at the Wizard of Oz, you can see that there is very, very deep occultic symbolism that is programmed into the script of that movie. And what happens in real life witch covens is that when you get a high priestess who has come to the end of her life, she doesn't die, wither away and die of natural causes. She is actually killed by a coven member with a blow to her forehead. And they all wear, these high priestesses, they all wear ruby slippers, red slippers. And what do we see in Wizard of Oz? We see this exact occultic symbolism right there, funded by Hollywood, right in your face. And Tony Podesta is an art collector, and you can see these Eastern European artists who are painting these pictures of these young girls who are all sitting, all staring blankly directly into the artist's eye. And they are wearing their underwear. But they are all wearing red slippers. And that shows to me that we are really dealing with the classical, old-fashioned, Luciferian, global network of secret societies where, you know, we are really dealing with deep Judeo-Babylonian Satanism. And when we watch the Oscars, what do we see? We see a red carpet, and we see the Sumerian Babylonian gate that's been recreated. Yeah, that's been recreated, and we see them, and we call them stars.
You've even pointed out why in the second Gulf War Part 2, the invasion of Iraq, why was one of the first things that our special forces did was go in and blow the doors off the Baghdad Museum.
Absolutely.
And uniform tablets and the statues depicting reptilian female humanoids breastfeeding a human baby. Why was all of that taken out and like kept away? You have to ask yourself, really, tactically, when they send in special ops teams and stuff, the first things they hit are they do look at it. The military looks at it from a very tactical point of view. So to see a special ops team go in and remove those clay tablets, and I've put this out there before, and I've heard some of the most crazy excuses because people, like, their minds just, they can't comprehend, and they're like, well, maybe they were worried about the antiquities. I'm like, so they only took the certain things and then left the rest so it would be looted? That's what happened to it. So if they were worried about the antiquities, how come they didn't guard the freaking thing until later on after it had been looted already? What were they so? That's it. That's not a valid excuse. Like, when you see what they did, you're like, that's kind of odd.
Yeah.
So if anybody thinks that, and there's like, wow, how are you connecting all of this to ancient Babylon and Sumer? Well, because it does connect. And again, all of the information that you're hearing today, flowing through this epic stream of consciousness, is because all of us have taken hours upon hours, and I don't mean like
days
1 hour
and weeks.
I mean, like, it ends up being thousands upon thousands of hours, which ends up adding up to months and years of research. And that's what it's going to take for humanity as a whole to understand this. A 10-minute or 15-minute YouTube video isn't going to tell you the full thing.
Yeah.
So whatever you hear, whatever you see, whatever you hear us talk about, and when you hear us mention things, you might see something from Chris on YouTube or me or anybody else. Please do your research further.
Yeah, guys, definitely.
Your mind will melt.
I want to give you guys a chance to plug your stuff. Caller Lee, thanks for joining us today. I want to say you brought some very insightful information. Feel free to call into the show anytime. It was great to hear from you again. Thanks for calling into the American Intelligence Report. Popeye, do you want to plug your stuff one last time? I'll let you plug your stuff first, and then we'll go down the list here.
Sure. Thank you, Kristan. It's you guys can hear me over on YouTube. That's from my video archives, and I'll be doing live broadcasts right now. DTRH Radio Archives. DTRH Radio Archives. Delta Tango Romeo Hotel Radio Archives. The audio archives are for free over at PopeyeRadio.com, and, of course, my website, federaljack.com. Thank you, Kristan.
No problem. Chris Everard, plug your stuff real quick.
Okay, you can see me presenting a lot of different documentary film TV series on the Enigma channel, and it's enigmatv.com or enigmachannel.com, and it's like WikiLeaks, except instead of reading lots and lots of documents, you're actually putting your feet up, making a cup of tea, putting the cat out, and you're watching full-screen HD documentaries.
Awesome. Scotty Lopez?
Yeah, you can catch me on Thursdays, 8 p.m. Central, The Quest for Truth, and you can check us out on Facebook at The Quest for Truth, and you can also hear me co-host with Everard.
Awesome, guys. Again, thank you, Popeye Down the Rabbit Hole, Chris Everard, Scotty Lopez, great guest. Don't forget to download the very free Google Play American Intelligence Report app on your cell phone and tablet. Go get it today. Share the links. Tell your friends and family to check out Pizzagate. Share the links. Don't forget to follow the live feed on Facebook. Follow us on YouTube. And don't forget to check out all these amazing guests we have today. Thank you again to all the listeners out there who have tuned in to be educated about what's going on. It's time we wake up the masses, and we can make a difference if we work together. I'm your host, Kristan T. Harris, and it's been a great Tuesday night. Thanks again for everyone for joining me. Awesome, guys. That was a fun show.
Here for
Hold
Truth
on.
Frequency Radio.
Let me disconnect
According
from TFR.
to allgov.com, since
we're still on Facebook Live, but I wanted to say thank you guys for coming on. It's been a long time since we've been able to have Popeye on. I've been trying to reach you. I know you've been busy. Scotty Lopez and Chris Everard. It's great to have you all on the show. I can't mention how much of a blessing today's show was and how great it was to have you all on. I feel like I'm in the midst of family whenever we all hang out. So
yeah,
it was a good show, man.
Great fun.
Definitely. All right, guys. Take care. I should have the feed up soon. MP3, whatever you guys need, feel free to rip it and share it. And thank you guys again so much for coming on. I would love to have you guys all back on again.
You hosted the show great. I'm very pleased to always be on with Scotty and Popeye and yourself.
All right. Thanks again, Chris. All right, Pop.
Kristan, it was a blast, and we'll have to do it again, brother. It was fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, man. Thanks for letting me on, dude.
All right, guys. I'll miss you all. We'll hit it again sometime soon. If you guys have any breaking news, feel free to send it to me. I'm doing Pizzagate all week. Nobody, even in the alt media, I know a lot of alt media is covering it, but it seems like the younger and more new fringe alt media has been really hammering it, minus, InfoWars now is starting to pick it up. But I really appreciate you guys coming in and contributing towards this topic, because this topic isn't a fun topic. It's a stomach and gut-wrenching topic. And I think that there's a little bit of danger that comes in whenever you spend all your time focusing on something like this. So appreciate it.
I just want to say that this Pizzagate situation is exposing ancient Judeo-Babylonian ritualized events, and we didn't even mention this Serbian magician woman doing the spirit cooking. And the thing about InfoWars and all the others is they will not say that this is from the foothills of Mount Zion.
Oh yeah, Zionism.
Valley of Gehinnom. This is the place where this started, with Molech, Lord Baal, and Belial, and all of these demons. This is ancient Judeo-Babylonian theology that we're dealing with. And the thing with the InfoWars is I've been watching very carefully, and none of these people are actually saying it the way it is.
Yeah.
So if you want to do another show anytime, you just call me.
Yeah, definitely, Chris. We'll definitely have you on. Thanks again, bro. I appreciate the call.
Chris, I just want to throw something out to you really quick.
Yeah.
Because since we're on Facebook Live, and there are still some people listening, I just wanted to
there's still 40 people listening. I can go as long as you guys want, just so you know. Well, I'm enjoying the conversation. So if you guys don't have to go, we can hang out for a little bit and talk a little bit about this stuff. So,
well, I just wanted to throw this out there. This is a quote from Friedrich Nietzsche, and because you were talking about, you can't. This is some dark stuff, and talking about it all the time and researching. It's with your brain. And I just wanted to, it made me think of a quote from Friedrich Nietzsche. Beware that when fighting monsters, you yourself do not become a monster. Mm-hmm. For gaze long into the abyss also gazes into you.
Yeah, absolutely. That's very true. He wrote a book called The Antichrist. And when you come to research this type of thing, and I've been doing research into demonology now for more than 20 years, you have to be very, very careful. Because this type of research has a way of rebounding onto you. And what I would say is it comes through in your dreams. And you have to really be a warrior. You have to approach this as if you're a warrior. You've got to be very cold-hearted. And you kind of The way I do it is I dissect things the way, say, for example, a lawyer in a courtroom would actually ask those questions and dissect the situation. And you have to stay dispassionate from things because you are dealing with vast numbers. I'm talking about hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of babies and children being exploited by this satanic sex crime syndicate, which has got its tentacles around the world. And what you got to do is just keep your eye on the tiger. Your eye on the tiger is exposure, exposure, exposure. That's what we do, because exposure is stage one of the kind of deconstruction of their empire. As soon as they're exposed, they run into the shadows like rats.
You can't remove a cancer, Chris, until you cut open the skin or cut open the area.
Yeah.
About the tumor and expose it. And you know, honestly, sunlight is the best disinfectant in this case.
Yeah.
The more light we shed on this, look, case in point, the mainstream media won't touch Pizzagate, and they could say, it sounds silly, whatever. You could name it whatever you want. You could have some grand official sounding name, like that, like how the government or royalty names things. And it wouldn't matter. They wouldn't touch it because the people that control the media and people in the media are part of this. Again, how many times has it been said by not just Corey Feldman but others in the entertainment industry that in Hollywood, the entertainment industry, where a lot of media and our view on things comes from, right? Or the general public opinion, anyway, right? It's almost this open secret that pedophilia goes on. Nobody talks about it, so people know what happens. They just don't discuss it. Well, you can call that Stockholm syndrome. You can call that being in denial. You can label it whatever the frig you want. 6 days from Sunday, it does not matter. The point is they know what's going on and they don't speak about it. And if you speak about it, you're either ignored, shunned, made fun of, attacked, or eventually, if you're actually making headway, like somebody as big as Breitbart. I mean, there's a million reasons why maybe they wanted to take out Andrew Breitbart. But, I mean, if he was really tweeting about Podesta and all this stuff years ago, that would probably be one of the main reasons they would take you out.
And it's really looking like that might be the case. That's what he.
Well, that's what
he would. That's the dirt that he was ready to expose. Because
assassinate somebody, Scott, over certain stuff. But imagine if Breitbart came out and dropped Podesta stuff. Right, 4 years ago.
I believe that's what he was going to do. I mean, just judging by what he was posting and what he was saying beforehand, he really seemed to just have this thing for Podesta, and we go back to the clip that Kristan played of Breitbart. I mean, Breitbart seemed really fired up. Like he knew.
Yeah, fuck Podesta, dude. No, seriously, dude. If this guy's, we're on the verge of being able to barbecue babies on the White House and everyone going around being like, it's the White House. They barbecue babies. That's where we're getting to. We're really close to people just being completely ambivalent, and no one knows how to deal with the cognitive dissonance. And we need to really just hammer them on this point. We need to, this is something we need to really get everyone on board on, because I think that this could be used to censor the internet. I've seen the fake news list grow from just being Mike and I on the Rundown Live and Waking Up Wisconsin, or 4 or 5 sites, to now including all these websites. And the guy who's
frequencies on it, man.
Well, Mike and I, the guy who started it was from Illinois. He was a neoconservative, and he is friends with my arch nemesis here. When I was in the Republican Party, I was libertarian, and then there was a guy who said he was libertarian, and he wasn't. He was neoconservative. He's kind of like a plant, and he's the guy that is kissing Paul Ryan's ass when he's walking around, and Robin Voss, and all these different things. And he really hated the fact that my blog, The Rundown Live, was so successful, and yet his blog was doing crappy because the guy didn't know what the truth was. The guy literally was establishment. And so he was going around and talking to these people, there's something we got to do about these fake news sites. So I told Mike, as soon as I saw that list by the neoconservative, I said, that's an assemblyman. He's putting together that list because they want to pass legislature to censor the internet. And here we are 3 years later, 2.5, 3 years later, from when that list first started, and now they've included the Fort Liberty list, which is an anti-Ron Paul person, and now you see the mainstream media covering it, and it won't be long till they come after all of us. So I think it's time that we all put aside our bullshit, whether it's, Adamo Freeman's an idiot or anti-media or all the different garbage we have right now, and really focus on this battle for internet freedom and getting these guys arrested. Because we got to do something here, because there's just way too much division. The class of activists I knew that I grew up with are now so ambivalent they just collect a paycheck and hang out behind a computer monitor all day. I'm just saying, just throwing it out there. Sorry, ranting.
I agree 100%.
There's a lot of egos out there. There's just a lot of people getting, they studied the alternative media and they figured out how to control it and how to fracture what couldn't be controlled. Okay. It's classic COINTELPRO style.
Divide and conquer.
CIA intelligence agency.
Well, remember Cass Sunstein's cognitive infiltration plan?
Yeah, well, actually, yes, I do. And it happened through the 9/11 Truth movement, and you see it happening everywhere. And I mean, what research community you partake in? There's a lot of division. There's a lot of backstabbing. There's a lot of people get caught up in the drama. Everybody's taking their eye off of the ball. Nobody's paying attention. And guess what? That's done to you on purpose. A lot of this is psychological warfare. You have to learn, honestly, to see through the bullshit. You have to be able to put on the Hoffman sunglasses from They Live, and you have to keep them on.
Nice.
Around 24/7 with them on. That's the only way to get through life, because the bullshit is thrown at you constantly. I mean, look at people right now. Since Trump got elected, I brought this up on air for a reason. I see, and I'm writing an article about this, but I foresee that people just are not understanding what's coming. We have fascism. Okay, we already had a police state. We had a choice between a police state with nuclear fallout and Hillary Clinton, or a police state under Trump, right? But either way, you still have a police state. She was Stalin, he was Hitler. Fascism, or hard communism, whatever you want to call it, on her side, right? And they're both two sides of the same coin, really. But the point is, I'm glad she's not in. But a lot of people are like, oh, Trump is great. Like he tweeted out today about the burning of the flag thing, and people are like, yeah, I totally should be a law. You shouldn't be allowed to burn a flag. And it's like, do you guys realize that if you look in the flag code, the proper disposal of a flag when you're done with it and it can't be flown anymore, or it has to be gotten rid of, you don't throw it away. What do you do with a flag? You burn it. It's actually the proper disposal technique. And second of all, I don't care if someone burns the U.S. flag. And a lot of people are going to be like, oh, you're a vet. I get this all the time. Veterans get pissed at me. They're like, Popeye, what the F? Dude, I know people died fighting and believing in the flag. I understand it's a symbol, but that's the point. The symbol was used to control us. And to me, I understand what it was, what it really is, and what they've done with it. So I know for many, it's a rallying point. 1776. It's a lot for people that have died in Iraq, people that have died in Afghanistan. I get it. I totally understand the emotional attachment to it, but that's the whole point of the flag. That's the reason that rulers and governments use them, because they manipulate our emotions. So I'm irritated at the much deeper level that we all got used. And for those of you who lost friends and loved ones, I'm mad for your loss, and I feel it, and I'm angry because your emotions were manipulated, and so were the emotions of the person that you lost. That's why they were motivated to go do what they did, because they thought they were going to protect you, when in reality, that's what they're told, because that's what the military is. It's bred into them. You're going to protect your country, your loved ones. You're going to stop the bad guys from getting them. And you know what? I don't care. People say, well, in this day and age, you shouldn't believe that. Well, guess what? Look what's going on right now. I see people that 2 years ago were very hardcore against the brainwashing and against the, falling in line, are now like, yeah, man, the government should make laws making flag burning illegal. Wait. This already got ruled by. This already went up through to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court ruled on it back in the late 90s. I think it was 99, and it was by one vote that it didn't become a law. And that's usually how it is with the Supreme Court, one or two votes, quite often. And look, I don't hold an emotional attachment to the flag. After my journey and everything that I've been through, okay, and the understanding that I have, I don't hold an emotional attachment to it. If somebody burns the flag to piss me off, I'm not going to give them the exact reaction that they would want. Is you getting mad and being like, America, I'm going to punch you in the face for burning my flag. That's what they want. Do you not understand that people controlling the situation are doing this on purpose? They control the other side. They get them all riled up. You should burn the flag. Oh, you should do whatever. Oh, socialism, Che Guevara. Oh, Fidel Castro. Oh, great people. Oh, revolutionaries. Woo! And then the other side, America, I'm going to put a boot in your ass. And they play both sides against each other, the left and the right. This constant game needs to be stopped. We need to stop participating in this game. That is the root of the problem. We're being manipulated as biological creatures to understand our brains. And guess what? The alternative media, they figured out how to manipulate the alternative media too. Like I said, half of it's been manipulated via responding to everything the mainstream puts out, because back in the day, the alternative used to create these news stories. Hey, we're talking what the mainstream doesn't. Now the mainstream talks about the same thing we do, but they put their bullshit spin on it. So then we have to respond to that, right? So then half the alternative media does that, and the half that doesn't gets attacked in another way. And they usually end up getting divided, and there's fights, and you see people putting their personal bullshit up on Facebook or YouTube. Look, this game, this problem, this thing we're up against is much bigger than, oh, I got my feelings hurt, I want to do a YouTube video about it, or, this person said something I don't like, I'm going to be butthurt at them. Kristan is right. We all need to get our shit together, okay? We need to polish up our armor and get ourselves in line.
Yeah, the battle's coming, guys. It's right around the corner. It's already here. We got to hold the line. This is how battles are lost. You demoralize your enemy. Look, the United States, it's been said, the United States, if you were going to come in from an outside like invading force, you'd need like China and Russia and Iran all at once, or even more. You need a multitude of countries coming in to attack us. And you'd have to have like Mexico in on it, and like Canada is up north of us, so they would obviously hopefully be on our side, right? You have to have this conglomeration of people to invade us. So invading us technically not going to work. How do you bring a nation like the United States down? Because even though we fight amongst ourselves, if you came in as an outside enemy, we'd focus on that enemy and everybody would come together. Regardless of, how much we argue, that's always been the way this country has come. So how do you manipulate that? Well, you bring the country to tear itself apart from within. They tried that in the Civil War. Almost worked, except Abe Lincoln put out a call to multiple countries for help. Please help. Kind of pretty much laid out what was going on. And Russia responded. Probably one of the reasons why they don't like Russia so much. Because, history, people should actually go study it. Anyway, the second time they're doing it is now. That's why they keep referring to now. It's the second Civil War period. Oh, my God, it's like we're almost at the Civil War Part 2. Yeah. Why did the Civil War happen? Oh, black people, they were enslaved. No. States' rights. No. All straw man arguments. The real reason the Civil War was fought and propagated and pushed by the very same people that push all the very same wars to this very day, the banking scumbag elites, because they were trying to divide the country. Because a nation divided what's the quote? A nation divided against itself, or a house divided against itself cannot stand, or something like that. I'm murdering Ben Franklin's quote on it. Anyway, you get my point.
Yeah.
Well, I think Team America World Police said it best when they said freedom isn't free. Freedom cost $1.05.
What would you do if you were asked to give up your dreams for freedom?
Oh yeah.
What would you do if asked to make the ultimate sacrifice? Would you think about all them people who gave up everything they had? Would you think about all them war vets? And would you start?
Yep, freedom isn't free, guys. Cost $1.05.
isn't free. It costs folks like you and me. And if we don't all chip in, we'll never pay that bill. Freedom isn't free. No, there's a hefty fucking fee. And if you don't throw in your $1.05, who will?
That's right. If everyone, Popeye, if we don't chip in our $1.05, we're not going to win.
That line at the end there is the best. Freedom, ain't fucking free. That's like totally. We're turning into like this weird version of Team America World Police and Idiocracy.
Right.
Having a baby, and that's what's going on with our reality. I mean, literally, when Trump comes out for his inauguration, I pretty much expect it to be like when the president comes out, Camacho.
Yeah,
he comes out, Idiocracy, on his motorcycle, and
the bro yell, yeah,
firing a machine gun. Yeah, that's pretty much what I expect it to be like. And people, and I mean, I see it already. It's going America. We're being manipulated now. Look, people are pissed off with the progressive lefties and the you crazy communist socialists. So now we're going to swing. And I said this like over the past 2 years, Scott, you and I even did a show and I talked about this, that I can see that the problem is they're going to swing it to the hard side of the other side of the coin. And that's what
the pendulum has gained momentum, and now it's swinging way far to the other side, right?
Of course it is, and people are going to be cool with that because, hey, it's Trump, and
But of course, and it's like I had said in
Trump
my Facebook
train.
post, though, I would rather deal with police state at home and fight it politically here than deal with incoming ICBMs that you can't do shit about.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly. Well, that's why it was like, Stalin was technically,
I can't believe we're having this debate.
Way more people than Hitler. So, if I have to choose, I know what you mean. It was really a choice between police state with nuclear fallout or just a police state. What would you like? I'll take the one without the fallout, please. Thanks.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. At least
because we already have a police state. By the way, newsflash: the police state's not coming.
It's here.
Yeah, it's been here.
Yeah,
exactly.
Like people are like, "Oh my God, the police state's coming." Point of fact: when you have police officers dressed in BDUs, riding around on armed vehicles with fully automatic weapons, and the crowd now cheering for it, because 2 years ago, before Ferguson, people were pissed off, but since the narrative's been changed, and I've discussed this many times. Since the narrative got changed, now everybody's like, "Yeah, man, you got to be, pro cop." Now, if you're like, "Oh, police brutality," or "Why do cops have armored vehicles?" The excuse is, "Well, ISIS terrorists," or mass civil unrest or rioters. You've seen it. What happens if Black Lives Matter riots? Oh my God.
Yeah, and now you got the same guys that are like, "Come and take it," putting a thin blue line across the back of their pickup truck, and I'm like, "Wow, guy!" I'm like,
I posted that meme on Facebook like 2 weeks ago, and it's just that exact picture. It's just the guy's got the "come and take it," the cannon, and it says "come."
Hey, can I ask you guys a question? A real question?
Who do you think's going to be the one to come and take it, bro?
Exactly. And he's got the thin blue line underneath it. And it's like that moment that you're so confused.
What's your guys' take on this whole Standing Rock thing? I had Derek Bros on, and he brought up some pretty interesting points. But I've seen the guys at InfoWars are really hammering the whole point that, pipeline should go through. Just build it anyways. They turn down millions of dollars. And Derek Bros is like, people care about the water, and there's a police state, and they're tasing us for no reason. And they don't, even if they didn't negotiate it, or they negotiated it, they didn't accept it. It's their property.
Do I really need to say it, Kristan?
Yeah.
Do I really need to say it?
I know. I just need verification that my boy sold out over there.
Fox News Wars is what it should be called.
Yeah, Fox News Wars.
Yeah, Fox News Wars, because that's pretty much what it's turning into.
I know. I was hoping that after the election, like the Trump would decease, the Trump. Roger Stone's on Trump. Larry Nichols, Trump, and I'm Trump and Trump.
Exactly. Tip of the spear. Tip broke. Get a new tip. Be the tip about that. Don't rely on somebody else to be the tip of the spear. Go be the freaking tip of the spear yourself, ladies and gentlemen. There's a solution.
Take Jones's own advice, I guess.
Well, if you don't like people, and I've said this for years, if people don't like what he or other people are doing, right, then go out and just do what you think is better and do it wholeheartedly and do it like put your love and your energy into it. And I don't mean go out and do a YouTube channel or a radio show where you do nothing but bash other hosts or something. That's unproductive, and that kind of shit is actually COINTELPRO style behavior. If you really want to make a difference and you want the world to be a better place, but you feel maybe somebody that you listen to or whoever the different people that you listen to don't speak about it enough, then go do it yourself. This world needs plenty of superheroes. There's plenty of bad things that need to be exposed and plenty of work that needs to be done to repair humanity's consciousness and bring us back together with nature and earth. And I'm not being all hippy dippy. I'm being realistic. We've become unplugged from everything around us and each other. And it's going to take a lot of work, and it's going to take some effort to get back. But we can do it. But we have to believe in ourselves. So again, don't rely on somebody else to be the tip of the spear or the shank of the spear or anything. Be the entire spear yourself.
But Donald Trump is going to appoint Sheriff David Clark as Homeland Security boss, I guess. I'm just kidding. He was at Trump Towers yesterday, Sheriff Clark from Milwaukee. So,
and I'm sure. Look, I hope that I'm wrong and that it doesn't.
It's going to go bad. We were wrong about Bilderberg and Hillary Clinton getting elected. I will say that I thought full-fledgedly that the elite establishment rigged it so well that Hillary Clinton would be able to get in no problem. But I hear that there's a war in Freemasonry going on right now in the secret societies, and
there could be. I have a different theory.
Okay,
really quick, I'll throw this out there. Sure. I have a theory that what if they knew, because she's so sick, right? The question I kept asking myself when she was sick was, why would they put such a sick individual, somebody who's, obviously physically ill? She's not going to be able to. She can't handle a debate without being pumped up on steroids and taking 2 weeks off. How is she going to handle the rigors of being the president of the United States? It's a very stressful job. Whether or not.
What I would like to say is that no president is the president of the United States.
You know what I mean. You can see the physical toll it takes on your body. Look at Obama. Years later,
they're glove puppets of Buckingham Palace.
Oh, of course, but no. So
they always have them.
Chris, why would they put her? Why would they have her? She's going to die. Then you'd have this doofus schmuck
Kane, creepy Kane.
He's Georgetown Jesuit trained, okay, but he's still kind of a doofus. It's almost like it almost reminded me for a second of the McCain-Palin ticket. Older, out of shape, out of physical, you've got that. You've got that. They have some sort of draw, and people will get behind them for whatever reason, but they have a physical malady that that they're really. How are they going to run for president, right? So why would they put McCain up? It's the same thing because
they've done worse than this. The news on the screws in East Germany is that Brezhnev died 7 years before he was announced that he was dead.
No.
And yet his corpse was animated through using electrical impulses on the balcony of the Kremlin during the May Day parades for 7 years before they announced that he was dead.
It wouldn't surprise me.
There's more bizarre stuff that goes on than that. They're doing carbon copies of bodies, and they want to install memories in them. So, hey,
But so when
James Bond, here we come.
Why would they put her up? And then I thought about McCain and Palin, and anybody that understands history or how this whole thing works, or politics or any of this, you look at McCain, Palin, and you're like, okay, that was a total setup. You needed the other side for people to get behind, but obviously they were never meant to win. You needed to have something, but you couldn't put somebody that was real and might actually steal the election like Kennedy did, because Kennedy, by the way, when Kennedy and Nixon were running against each other, they actually didn't think Kennedy was going to win. That was kind of and I know Joe Kennedy with the mafia, but the whole point is that was kind of a surprise to even the power elite at the time. So they don't like to be caught off guard. So they don't that's how the rigging of the election is done, largely in part, is the people that they put up. So then I look at Hillary and this schmuck that she's running with, and I'm like, And then I'm looking at Trump and Pence, and I'm like, wow, they always, even if you don't like them, they always come off as very presidential or very, like leader-like and very powerful, which is what this country was set up to be yearning for. Somebody in and be that leader figure. Again, instead of, there's problems, and instead of people stepping up themselves, they want somebody to come in and save them.
Yeah.
Want somebody
You've
to come
got
in.
it. You've hit the nail on the head.
So
I made a film in 2011 called Superstate, and the opening sequence of that film is that, I was saying that people want a strong leader. They want a strong leader. They don't really care about where that leader is going to lead them. What they want a strong leader. It's like an international version of poker. Our leader is stronger than your leader. And if their leader leads them into fascism, well, that's, it's not even a word which most people even understand. Most people don't even understand fractions, let alone fascism. Now, what I would like to say about all these things that you've been saying, Popeye, is that, I do agree. We are on a knife edge. We are on a knife edge. It could go either way with Mr. Trump. However, having said that, Tony Blair, who is a person who downloaded a student's thesis about Iraq, and he changed all the wording and he sexed it up, and he then filed it into the House of Commons library so that other members of Parliament would think, oh, this is a document that's been, commissioned by the House of Commons, but it wasn't. It was just downloaded from the internet. It lied about weapons of mass destruction. 1 million people died or were misplaced. 500,000 children died because of this lie, because of this document that Tony Blair created. Tony Blair's wife is a High Court judge. Her name is Sherry Booth. And her great uncle is the guy that killed and assassinated Abraham Lincoln.
Wow.
This is so deep. This is so historically fucked up. You can't even begin to sit at the feet of this conspiracy.
And by the way, I know they like to say that Booth was a lone gunman, but he wasn't, because you had John Surratt out in the street calling out times as that, and there were multiple people in Lincoln's cabinet that were attacked at the same time, and he was part of a Southern secret society, and Booth wasn't killed in that barn. Booth,
exactly.
Right.
Booth ended up living in what we today call Kosovo.
What? He lived? I've never looked into the Lincoln conspiracy, so this is something.
Dude, I did a show on this like years, and it was one of my first.
This is like mind blowing. This is like the Titanic all over again. I'm like, what? They painted the Titanic as Olympic, and the Olympic as the Titanic, and then they crashed it at the deepest part of the sea. It's illegal to research it. What the hell?
I see people freaking out over the Titanic now, and I'm like, yeah. And
that was me 5 years ago.
No, maybe because I've talked about it for so many years. I'm just like, yeah, hat tip, whatever. Thanks. Glad I got that into the. I was helping one of the few originals to help bring that out into the public consciousness, because I remember when somebody had mentioned it to me, they were like, "You should look into this," and it was this little known thing that nobody talked about, and I was like, "Wait, what?" And all of a sudden I started seeing all these connections.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God! I mean, anybody who researches it, it's like right there in your face. I mean, seriously,
it is. It is. Yeah.
A whole ocean liner. Yes, they would. Yeah. They killed over 3,000 people on 9/11. You don't think they would? Look, to understand what's going on, you have to read.
You don't think that they would sink a boat?
Dude, you have to.
Well, they had the life preservers there. They just couldn't find them. They left them out early with the boats. They were floating.
Understand their mindset of the end justifies the means. You really need to read a book called The Prince
The Prince.
by Machiavelli.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And I'm not kidding. You have to read this book.
All right, I'm looking it up right
Get it
now.
on Audible. Audible's great. I use Audible all the time. Okay. I know I don't get paid to promote them, but I use that thing all the time. I love that. I found Audible and I was like, oh,
what is
my
it
God,
called?
I can do two things because I multitask, so I can actually listen to a book and retain the information while doing something else.
Yeah.
And like it just enables me to. I rip probably through 2 or 3 books a week, literally.
It's called what is it called? Audible?
It's from it's an audiobook thing. You can download the app. It's through Amazon. I pay like $15 a month. You get 1 free credit for like 1 free book or whatever, and you can buy the books too or whatever. But or you can get a different plan where you get more free, you pay a little bit more, whatever. I do the cheap one, but it doesn't matter. I've acquired a library because there was a period of time where I didn't use it. I was too busy. Had so much stuff going on, I wasn't able to use it much, and I ended up acquiring a library of books. I've got like 28 audiobooks now on this thing already, and I've probably listened to about 70% of them, 71% of them. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of conspiracy themed stuff on there. Chris, anything you've written, you should look into, see if you can get it on there, because your stuff I think would be killer on there. Honestly, you have some amazing stuff, ladies and gentlemen. You have to go. I'm going to shamelessly plug Chris's website. Chris is Chris is an old friend of mine. I met him years ago doing this. I haven't gotten a chance to actually sit down and break bread with him yet. We will one day.
Hey, I was close to you this last week. I was in Texas, Popeye. I was hoping that you'd come on down. I was like,
dude, I so bad want to get back over to the Dallas
JFK conference.
It's Dealey Plaza.
I haven't been there since the 50th, but like when you stand there and you look up at the school book depository, you're like,
there's no way. Yeah.
No fucking way. There's just no way. You're not shooting through that tree. Now, you can just, if you understand, Dealey Plaza is not flat either. It goes down into a vault.
Yeah.
At least the tip of the spear wasn't down there.
I listened to
getting punched in the stomach by police.
I listened to the guy who did the autopsy on JFK.
What more proof do we need that the CIA have named their 21st century state-of-the-art Center for Intelligence Gathering the George Bush Building?
You mean the same George Bush that denied ever being in the CIA when he was running for president?
Yeah, the same George Bush who was the boss of the CIA for 2 years, the same George Bush whose son lied about weapons of mass destruction, the same George Bush whose other son, Jonathan Bush, turned up at a meeting with Native American leaders with the skull of a child in his pocket.
Oh, by the way, Prescott Bush also stole Geronimo's skull.
That's right. That's right.
So there's also that.
Really?
Oh yeah, they went and
oh, absolutely.
Family went and sued. They made a big deal out of it. This about a year or two ago, again publicly, that when Prescott was in Skull and Bones, him and a bunch of other guys went and they dug up Geronimo's bones and they took it back to. I remember if it was just the skull or the entire. I think it was just the skull. And
it was the skull.
They brought it back to. They have it in the Skull and Bones fraternity, and the family says that they want it back, and they're like, "Oh, you're crazy! That never happened." Prescott Bush, such a fine fellow. Why would the grandfather and father of 2 presidents do that? Oh, I don't know, because he worked for the American bank, which was laundering Nazi money during World War II.
Maybe
and he had a USO, so he wouldn't go to jail. I don't know, because the Bush family's a bunch of scumbag pieces of shit. How about that?
There you go. There's a reason, or 2, or 3, or 4, or 5, or 6.
I can be so snarky like that with so much info, ladies and gentlemen, because I spend so much years.
Oh, just maybe the fact that Barbara Bush is the daughter of Aleister Crowley.
I don't know if that's true, but it could be. It could be.
They asked her about soldiers dying, and she said, "I don't want to." She said, "I don't want to waste my time, or I don't want to bother my mind with such things." Something that you can look up the quote. Barbara Bush. Could care less about soldiers dying, and I'm sure that'll come up. And she's like, I don't want to bother my pretty mind with such things, or something to that effect. It's like
she's the same Barbara Bush that carried a dead fetus in a pickle jar and showed it to everyone.
Yeah, they should just put her
Miscarriage?
in like a metal canister. Her and her whole family.
But you know what I'm talking about, right? I didn't make that up. That was on the news. She literally took what did she have? Her baby died, and so miscarriage, and she put it in a jar, and she showed George.
I know.
Yeah, of course.
They were a bunch of weirdos. They really are. But
yeah, because the soul and the spirit of the fetus is what they're interested in. They're not interested necessarily in the physical fetus.
Did you ever hear the story of Curious George, Chris?
No.
Okay, let's check. And I'm surprised.
Are we talking about the monkey?
Has never heard of this. Yes. Supposedly, and I don't know if this is true, but there's a researcher named Al Neal, and you'll see his stuff on YouTube. And I got to hunt him down so I can interview him. But he'd be a great guest, Kristan. You should get him on.
Okay.
You'd probably do a great show with this guy. You can find his stuff on YouTube when he used to speak at the Prophecy Club, and he does a great presentation on all of the Illuminati, everything, all the symbolism. I have to see if I can find his website while we're chatting.
You know who I'm having on Thursday is Doc Marcus.
You can look him up. Hold on, let me look.
Who also is on Prophecy Club, and Fritz Springmeier on Friday.
Anyway, he was the guy that brought up Curious George, and Curious. This is where I heard it from years ago. Supposedly, Curious George, the creator, and I don't remember how the author of Curious George. I don't remember the connection. It's been years since I heard the story, but from what I remember of it. Curious George, the curious little monkey, is based off of George Bush Sr. Because when he was a child, because Prescott, remember, the Bush family worked for J.P. Morgan. That's like how they became prominent. Like that was their connection, right? I mean, I know they have blood lineage and stuff and blah, 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 going all the way back to ancient Babylon and Sumer. I know all the bullshit. I know. But they worked for J.P. Morgan. So Prescott would go bug Tesla in his workshop, supposedly, and he would drag his son along with him, little George. And George would go around and grab and mess with and touch everything in Tesla's workshop, and Tesla didn't like that. So Tesla nicknamed him Curious George because he was always, touching things and playing with everything. And that's what he called him. Now, whether or not he liked him or not, whatever, but that's what Tesla supposedly nicknamed George Bush Sr. And then the author, the guy who created Curious George, I don't remember how he was connected to it, but he knew of this, and he created the little character, the little curious monkey, off of that. Huh. So Curious George the monkey is George Bush Sr.
That's interesting.
You see, there's just too much shit in my head. If we had Jeopardy, the Illuminati edition, I think we'd all win.
We should do that. We should have Jeopardy of the Illuminati, and we should do it literally like a game show. I bet you hundreds of people would tune in if we did like a conspiracy game show. No lie.
What is Lord Rothschild?
And it's so easy to do. Yeah, it's so because I do green screen. I don't know if you guys have seen my live feed on Facebook, but I literally just have my whole back wall at screen, and I could literally make like a tic-tac-toe board or a Jeopardy board and edit it and change it on the spot. No problem.
And then, like, as one of us speaks, and like one of us doesn't word it, like, in the proper form of, I'm sorry, Scott, you didn't word your answer in the form of a question. You have to be
womp, womp, womp.
But you got to be a total dick like he is when he does it, because he's got that arrogance. I'm Alex Trebek. Really, dude? You're a game show host. Go for yourself.
You're not Bob Barker, okay? Come on. Now, he was a real game show host, Bob Barker.
Yeah, like, Bob Barker's a badass. He whooped Happy Gilmore's ass. I know, it's just a movie, ladies and gentlemen. Jeez, it's just a joke. But anyway, little humor. But yeah, seriously, Al Neal, great guest. There's a lot of stuff. Like, when I see people, this is what concerns me. A lot of people, the newer researchers, they do like 2%. They dig into like the top 2%. And then they think that that's, enough to go out and start doing YouTube videos. And I know you want to get out and start like telling everybody. We used to call it, Sean Raspatello, another radio show host, his wife called it truth or vomit, where you you start talking to somebody, you're like, oh my God, 9/11, chemtrails, Illuminati, blah. You just like start puking information on them.
And it's just it's like brain rape. It's information overload for people.
Yes. And I see the younger generation doing it, but they're doing it with only like 2% of the information. Like, whereas at least when we started talking about it,
we knew what we were talking about.
Did research for years. Like before, I know I did a ton of research before I ever publicly came out and said, like, I honestly can say without a shadow of a doubt that 9/11 did not happen the way the government said it happened, and that they're lying to us. And it took me a lot to say that, and it took a lot of research for me.
Hello.
Uh-oh.
We lost Popeye. Oh, he got NSA'd.
He got deep sixed, man.
Popeye got deep sixed.
That was the end of Popeye.
Yep, his ship sank.
He was a word too far.
All right, guys, it was a fun time. Thanks for joining me, guys. It was a great time.
He's back,
we got Popeye back.
I don't know what happened. My Skype's been cutting out weird.
This is the longest edition of the American Intelligence Report.
It's been doing that the whole show. All of a sudden, I was on, and it just boop, and I thought Kristan got nuked for a minute.
No, I could have been, man. I'm worried about my because I'm like the only person I think that's doing a week-long segment on Pizzagate. And I've got some heavy hitters, bro. I got Doc Marcus, alleged former member of the Illuminati from the Prophecy Club, and Fritz Springmeier on Friday. And by the way, those two don't get along for some reason. Doc Marcus, Fritz Springmeier, bump heads. I guess they have, you know how it is where people, they disagree about little things and then it turns into bigger things and, whatever. But it'll be informational. I'm really excited to have them on to get their ideas on Pizzagate. I'm going to be actually selling some of Fritz Springmeier's books digitally in a store I'm building to help keep developing my empire that's going on here. Isn't it amazing? We still got like almost 30 people in a live stream chat on Facebook. And we've been talking about just everyday life pretty much for what we do, game shows. And,
hey, well, thanks for hanging around, guys.
Yeah.
Everybody out there in Facebook land.
Right, I can cut this up into like 3 short episodes if I need to. No, I'll just put the whole thing up on Facebook.
Somebody is asking where they can find more information on. Well, first of all, we have a free podcast app. Go to Google Play and search for American Intelligence Report. Our episodes are up there daily. You can go to the AmericanIntelligenceReport.com, or we're syndicated through Truth Frequency Radio. Also, you can simply just like the Facebook page that you're posting on, where it says American Intelligence Report on top there, and Paige Stimmen. Just like it, and if you have any questions on where to find me, you can send it to me. If you want to know more about Popeye and the guys, I'll make sure that they drop their links in the chat. I know that there's people that are interested in all you guys. A lot of people have been asking questions about Chris's weird accent. I'm like, well, he had tea time, it's not his fault. So just kidding, Chris.
He had tea time.
I was in Dallas and everyone kept telling me, hey, you're from Canada? And all the chicks thought it was cute, but all the guys kept going, so you're from Canada, huh? I'm like, no, I'm not from Canada. I'm from Wisconsin. Sure, it's about 5 hours away, but,
Close enough.
Canada, because they say a lot.
Yeah, no, and we don't use the. It's da. It's da Bears and da Packers, and then it's not there, it's dare. So it's da dare. It's like German, because we have a lot of Germans here, and if you know anything about the German language, it's dare and das, and so everything just goes into da, dare, das, and da Bears, da Packers, and we're gonna go hunting over there
instead of about.
It is hunting season, by the way. Venison, deer season. In Wisconsin.
As long as you're going to eat it and you're not doing it to just shoot your guns and be a dick, that's cool. My uncle always taught me you
got to eat it.
My uncle taught me to hunt, but he was like, if you're going to kill it, you better use it. Don't kill it and just leave it there.
Yeah, that's awful.
Let you do that. So he used every part of it, dude. He would eat literally everything that you could possibly eat, including every organ that you could possibly eat. Some organs you can't eat, but yeah, he would cook the heart and the liver up.
Let's just grind down the bone. We'll make hot dogs. Hot dogs. It's everything.
Thanks. Like, thanks, bro. I'm good. My uncle was a badass though. He was like Mountain Man Jack, dude. He taught me how to track animals and people through the woods. He taught me how to hunt. He taught me a lot of stuff.
Wow.
That's some skills people just don't learn anymore.
Well, it's like gardening. Like a kid, like let's say if you couldn't buy food ever again, how would you survive? You'd have to steal. unless you learned how to plant and can and pickle and things like that. Who pickles things anymore? You know, I remember when I used to go down to my grandmother's basement, it would be like brains, and she'd have jars of all this stuff that just looked disgusting, but she'd probably feed it to us and we didn't know. I can't tell you how many, 4 or 5 year old pickles I've eaten, and I didn't die. So,
Well, when I was a kid, he took me hunting one time, and we got doe permits. And in New Jersey, you get a doe. There's one day out of the whole hunting deer week season, because it's only a week long, for shotgun and bow, that you can hunt does, because they don't like you killing the females, because then you're killing the babies and the future deer. So they only allow you to do it, on one day, and you have to get it. There's only a certain amount of tags that go out. And, guys like it. A lot of guys do it. My uncle and I used to enter the doe race every year, and I used to get I got a doe tag like 3 or 4 years in a row. But we wouldn't go with our guns. We'd have our guns on us, but we brought them more for protection from the drunk idiots that were out in the woods with their guns. What we did was we would track the females, and a lot of times we would scare them and spook them if we saw somebody else trying to take them. And I know there's a bunch of hunters that are really, that's a dick move, but we didn't feel that. My uncle was very adamant. He would not kill a female deer. He was just very adamant. I mean, if need be, if it was a survival situation, he would do it. But he didn't feel it necessary. He felt
there's really no need to do that. You take out the bucks is what you need to do.
So, and that's what you're supposed to do. So, and he taught me. There's a lot of things that he taught me.
But the does walk right up to you.
Well, he taught me to be very. I have Native American in my heritage in my family as well. But he taught me to be very cognizant of nature and connect with it. And if you're going to take something, if you take a life in nature, it has to be for survival purposes. There's no reason, like if you're fighting a bear or something, yeah. But again, that's survival. You're not. You don't just go around shooting shit because you want to kill things. That's not right. That's not the way you do it. And we would track the deer. Well, I remember one day we tracked. It was 3 does. It was a mom, and it was an older female and then 2 younger females. And they had a bunch of they were probably about maybe a year old bucks with them, and they were trailing behind them. And the big buck, he was off, he kind of, they're smart. They hang back. They let the women and the kids go first. And then if they don't get shot, they'll come out. You'll see them send the women and the kids across the road first. And then if they don't get hit or anything, then they'll come out. But how do you think they get those huge racks? They're not stupid.
No.
So they're very smart animals. So he'll be hanging back. But we tracked this whole bunch of them, probably about a good, I'd say like 10 miles through the woods. And we had our guns on us the whole time. We didn't take a shot. We did more. We just sat there with our binoculars watching them. And he was teaching me, look what they do. Look at their actions. Like he was teaching me to observe is what he was teaching me to do. I didn't know. I was like 13 at the time, but he was teaching me to, the power of observation and to pay attention and then my connection back to nature. And this is the same guy that he would have no compunction with pulling out his rifle and whacking the huge buck if we were going to take the meat home that day. But we were hunting all week. So he knew that Doe Day was just really to go out in the woods and play around. We were bringing our guns with us more so to, like I said, to protect ourselves from the idiot hunters out there. Because you'll get drunk guys that'll shoot at anything. And I don't give a shit. At that point, if you're shooting, we had a rule. It's all good. You start shooting at us, hunter or not, we're returning fire. So, because I don't want to get shot. So I need to stop the person shooting at me. You know what I'm saying? So, or shoot up in the air to scare them off if you need to or whatever, or alert them that you're, a hunter. So you always carry your gun. And you never know. You could come across a bear. You could come across a situation where you actually do need your weapon for self-protection. But we would track. There were plenty of times we would track the females and not kill them because we didn't need to. So
Sure. All right, guys, I'm going to have to call it a day. I got to go to my slave job after this. So I got a lot of work, get this episode uploaded and everything else. So, yeah. Bartender, 10 bar. And, I'm getting to the point where, pretty soon, hopefully, I'll be able to do this full time. And I can work and bartend a little less. So,
there's nothing wrong with bartending.
Well, no, man, you could talk to people.
My father's an old, Vietnam Navy vet. He's in his 70s, and he stopped bartending when he was in his late 60s. He bartended since the time he was like 18 years old.
Why does Grandpa keep bringing home the 21-year-olds? I don't get it. No, I'm just kidding.
He worked like at one point in New York City. He was, he worked high up for Kodak at one point. He was an executive for a period of time. And my father would still, like, when he got a chance, if he was hanging out and he was at a bar, he would climb behind the bar. And if it was like a friend's bar or someplace that he was comfortable, he'd climb behind the bar and start serving drinks.
Yeah.
So, like, there's no shame in your game, homie.
No, I love it. I get to talk to people about things. I literally preach liberty, freedom, and Constitution. And I have to say that many people just come in to talk politics with me, and that's like the biggest taboo thing you're not allowed to do.
It's a good way to strike up conversation with people. That's a good position to be in,
Absolutely, absolutely, guys. Thanks for the reassurance that I'm not a loser for being a bartender. I'm just giving you a hard time, but not all of us could be Alex Jones making $7 million a year and just hiring people left and right. So we're all one people, but if we work together, we could develop some pretty interesting platforms and work together. And I think that's in the future. I want to hold a United States Alternative News Conference here in Milwaukee. I'm an hour and a half from Chicago, and I'm sure I could get some heavy hitters to speak, and it'd be a fun event.
Have our own Bilderberg.
Yeah, sounds good.
That's what I was thinking. Having our own little secret get together.
We don't have our own Bilderberg meeting. Like Everard flies in from the.
Yeah. We'll just literally. We'll have to come up with that
picture taken through the window of a black limousine, looking all official at that official British squint that you have.
Well, and since we're alt media, we could only afford one limo, so we'd have to send it back and forth.
Like a Lincoln Town car with tinted windows. But whatever.
The same Lincoln Town car keeps driving back and forth. I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah, this one singular car has 6,000 miles on it by the time it's the gun going back and forth.
Yeah. The rental on that would cost more than the conference itself. We'd have to find some cool. We'd have to find some hotel that's historic. I think here I'd probably do it the Astor, as in the Astors that were on the boat, as in Astor hotels. They're here, and that building is very Masonic. That guy owns a club that has a lot of hookers in it. So I'm wondering if that's part of the Masonic deal.
Anderson Cooper and say, hey, can we borrow your family's place?
Yeah. Yeah, why not?
If you can't afford the Lincoln Town car, I can just tie a radio flyer wagon to the back of my wheelchair and pull people in.
Yeah, Communist Gwen Moore has a mansion on top of the Ambassador Hotel she rents on the taxpayer dollars. No one's exploited this, but I looked at her tax information and her donation information. She rents out the penthouse suite of the Ambassador Hotel in Milwaukee, and then her home, she just lets her children stay there and about 15 other people, I guess.
We should do it. Maybe we should do it in like a 420 friendly state.
Hey, like Colorado. The issue is I'd be doing all the planning here, but it's more central, and it is 420 friendly. Isn't DC now 420 friendly?
There's a bunch of states.
Yeah, DC is they legalized it for the elite in DC. So I would say that we can rent out the Benjamin Franklin Monument.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And have a conference there because he was a serial killer.
Oh yeah, and he was an Illuminati sympathizer like Thomas Jefferson. So
we can do a tour of all of the Washington monuments.
Well, that's what I was thinking. The occultism
tour of Washington.
That's what I was thinking.
How in your face would it be if we got a place that was very, very symbolic, and we were able to rent the place? It'd be way too expensive.
Well, what they do is we need to find somebody that owns a hotel and that would either donate it to us.
I know somebody who owns a hotel on Pennsylvania Avenue.
Huh? Do you now?
Yeah, Donald Trump.
Can we borrow you?
Yeah, I'm sure Trump will let us just come in there and just, we'll have the alt media. You never know. He's a big supporter of the alt media. Without the alt media, he wouldn't have gotten elected, if you ask me. So.
Well, Kristan, you got the balls to do it. Send him an email and be like, "Sir,
okay.
I'll
reach out to him. I got all right.
Emails from Donald Trump.
You give it to Kristan to reach out to some. Only I would be able to pull that out of my ass. So that's what I do. So
Dear Kristan,
if you guys are up for it, I'll organize it. No problem.
Amazing guy. I can hear him speaking.
Oh yeah, I know already.
He's an amazing guy.
I'll send him to.
I know it. Everybody knows it.
Yes. He'll win so bigly at this event. Yes, so bigly.
No, look, no, that'd be cool. All kidding aside, we should try to put. Like, I've been.
I want
this
to.
for years.
Yes,
Like,
this is our year, and it takes 6 months of planning.
Like, they get together, they might not all agree, and they might even argue at these meetings and call each other names and shit. But, like, at least they're having the meetings. Like, at least they're getting together and talking. We're not even talking. I mean, we talk on the internet, but half the time it's like throwing jabs at each other. Or, I don't like what you posted.
Well, you're wrong about this and this microaggression, and I need safe space.
Microaggressions.
You changed your background to black. I'm offended. So I don't know.
You violated the
let's do it.
Brown paper bags for lunch.
Yeah, we should totally do it. That's awesome. I'm down.
All right, let's figure it out. We got to figure out. I'm thinking about 9/11 weekend. That was my idea. But that's September
9/11 2017. I'll put it in my diary.
We used to do on 9/11. We used to do every year in New York. We Are Change used to do a lot of 9/11 events, and they were good. But the last year that they did one was that same year that Pamela Geller, and I keep saying this, that I'm really convinced that woman is a controlled CIA asset to a degree.
Oh man, yeah, for sure.
She came out and started that whole "we're against the mosque in New York" thing, and all the news attention, because there was this huge We Are Change had put on with other people a huge event that year, and all the attention and focus went to Pamela Geller and her idiots marching, and it just caused a lot of issues, and it ended up really it took a lot of the attention away, and a lot of people ended up not seeing or being exposed to what was going on like they usually were, and it ended up not being as effective as it used to be. And 9/11 truth kind of collapsed upon itself like the towers did. I mean, to a degree. Everybody's arguing over, whether Judy Wood is right or whether she's
lasers
right.
destroyed the building, or they were drone airplanes, or there's explosives.
Everybody's fighting. Like,
doesn't matter.
Follow the evidence. Let the evidence. You have to follow the evidence. You can't, have some. Well, I think it's this, and then I built a whole theory on it. And then when you question the person on their theory about whether or not, and they tell you it's not even a theory, and then they ask you if you have a degree in. A PhD. What did she ask me? Do you have a degree in engineering? And I
don't know. Maybe you had your professor was an idiot, and he shouldn't have had a degree, and so neither should you. That's how I know respond to that.
Well, my point is the whole point is everything got fractured, and there were people that were interjected on purpose to cause chaos and mayhem to a degree. That's COINTELPRO. That's the kind of stuff that happens. We need that type of event where all these people, as my throat is getting all dry. We need this type of venue for people to come out. I mean, how many people?
So hey, I have a question for you. I know a guy who has in his family has an old military base Nike site. His brother commandeered it, and they want to change it into a college, but it's in Arizona. There's just one idea. We can do something like this. We just need to figure someplace central, someplace where it's cheap for people to get to and isn't going to cost a whole lot of money. And knowing somebody that owns a hotel that can give deals on rooms, and a hotel's the best place to go.
Donald will give us a good deal on all those rooms, no problem.
All right. Fine. Fuck you guys. I'll reach out. I'll reach out to Trump. But
if weed is going to be recreational in DC, that would be that's going to be interesting.
Let's do it in DC. Let's do it at the Trump Hotel in Pennsylvania Avenue. It's the most obvious place to do it.
Yeah, Chris Everard, you make it sound like no problem, guys. I just can go ahead and pull that out of my ass. Good.
The safest.
By any means, I really have. The only person that I'm 2 people away from would be Sheriff David Clark that would have access to Trump. Besides that, I don't have much access to him, so I don't know.
Look at it this way, Kristan. The if we do it in Washington, there's less likely they'll drone strike the event.
It's a no-fly zone.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's less likely that they're chemtrailers as well.
Oh yeah, weather modification. Well, that's just it. Well, that's just it. I want to get people to.
Not joking.
Well, we should discuss what kind of speakers. Should we get somebody like a who does that chemtrails? That's Murphy, right? Mike Murphy.
Yeah, I think we should have Jim Mars.
I know Jim.
Have the old timers.
I can do that.
It should be 2 days, and we should tackle Bilderberg and Pizzagate and everything all in one hit,
and do it on a weekend.
We could do like a Friday, like a half a day Friday.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or a Friday, Saturday,
and a half day Sunday.
Friday, all day Saturday, and then like half a day Sunday, and then the second half of Sunday is like everybody wants to hang out. Everybody
whoever's staying through Monday till 9/11 or whenever.
Whenever.
Well, we can do a tour of the Washington Monument, and I can give my talk about Egyptian obelisks and how they're symbols of Satanism, and then we can head on down to the Benjamin Franklin Monument, and I can give my talk about how he stored the bones of dead people underneath his floorboards.
There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, just
what maybe I can get Fritz Springmeier out of his cave to show up for one of these or something like that. We'll see.
Fritz would come along, yeah, definitely.
So, okay, well, we have to first find a location. Then once we find a location, rent is normally fairly inexpensive if we get them people who are going to stay there. The big issue is going to be fundraising, and I have some friends who are generally pretty good in fundraising. But
okay.
Obviously, we would want to have a vendor area as well, where people will go and buy stuff and vendory, and that's part of the conference. So we'll sell vendor spots for
I'll be up there. Whether or not I'm helping organize it or not, I'll be stuck in the vending section for like 30 minutes, being like, I want this book.
Yes.
I want this book.
Yes.
I want this book, this DVD, this book, this DVD.
Listen. We'll do a tour. We'll do a nighttime tour of the occult sightseeing spots of DC.
Sure.
And we'll do the apartment of Anthony Weiner, and we will end the tour with a gala pizza dinner at Comet Ping Pong.
Oh, wow.
How about that? And we will have a crocodile.
Oh, what a troll. We'll all end up dead.
Of about 400 people. And all that day, they've been taught about Benjamin Franklin, and they've been taught about, the Illuminati symbolism, and we'll arrive at Comet Ping Pong.
Yeah, well, we're going to have to see who's willing to come and talk for free. Accommodations. There's a lot to take into consideration here. But the first one, like I said, I'd like to keep it small, a weekend. Maybe, we can open it up to the public, sell tickets.
Wait. You're not paying me that $10,000 that we talked about?
Listen, Popeye. $10,000. Okay. Maybe when Bitcoin was down to about 15 cents a Bitcoin, I'd give you 10,000 Bitcoins. But
right. Damn it, Kristan, we had an agreement. No, I'm kidding.
I know. All right. So that all comes in with fundraising. And so, I'm not one of those people that likes to do what a lot of the Liberty Movement, great business minds like to do. And they like to pre-sell tickets to pay for the event. I like to have the event paid for before, everything happens. So
we'll call it the Washington DC Conspiracy Conference, and we'll call it the Pizzagate special.
Well, I'd like to. We'll brainstorm it all. That's an idea. But let's first find a hotel.
Tour, actually, we can include a public tour.
Yes, I agree.
The Capitol building, because the public are allowed to go in there on tours.
Yeah, I think that those are all great ideas. We could sell tours, make them inexpensive, or do them for free. I think doing them for free is the best bet. In fact, I think making the conference free would be the best option. But that's the first thing, because I learned that in Wisconsin they did a paranormal conference and it was free, and over 1,000 people showed up on one day. Just 1,000 people want to know about Bigfoot and dumb shit. No offense to the people who research Bigfoot. I don't even say it's dumb shit, because I research giants. Okay, and people think I'm weird, but I'm just throwing it out there. But 1,000 people for things that don't matter. It just doesn't matter.
The conference you just went to, the first one, was on the 50th, and I was there for it, and it was a free conference, and that was the whole point of it in the beginning. And I would say, Judith ended up paying for it with donations that people had. She had the idea, so it was put together over the course of time, and we probably had a good, I would say, at least I anywhere between 40 to 60 people. I have to go back and look at the videos because it's been a while, but I would say between 40 and 60 people alone, just that didn't even that like extra that didn't know about it ended up showing up to this little spot. So, and it was kind of at the time it was more out of the way, and now it's become, within a few short years, the conference has become more mainstream, and there's more. I saw the live stream coverage, and there was a lot more people there.
Yeah, it was sold out.
It was good to see people at the conference. It was good to see people, like a shit ton of them there. It was really nice to see that. I mean, I next year I hope to be there. Judith every year offers me a ticket to come out, and she's like, "Come on, Popeye, I have."
We should have came out. I was down there, bro. We could have hung out, and
I just got a lot going on, so I haven't been able to go to. The 1 year, Marseille died, and in the past 2 years, I still been, my dad's moving up here. I got a lot of other shit going on, but so hopefully next year, that's going to be my goal. I want to get back out there because I haven't been out there in a few years, and Dealey Plaza is calling me again. You go out there, you stand on the X, you look up at the school book depository, and you're like, no way. Then you look at the Dow Tex building, and you're like, yes. And you look over and you look at the triple underpass, and you're like, yes. You look in the area of the grassy knoll, and you're like, yes. By the way, that monument to Kennedy wasn't there when he was shot. That big white thing.
Yeah.
That whole thing wasn't there. That's usually where Robert Groden hangs out, up around there with his books.
Yeah.
That guy. You want to talk about somebody who's been pushing for truth for years. That guy. He's got more mileage on his feet out in Dealey Plaza, I think, than anybody else. Anyway.
Yeah, he loves being out there. Yeah, and that's all interesting, Popeye. JFK conference was a great experience for me. I got to make so many new friends and like-minded people, and I had a great time, and definitely next year. But I want to focus on this conference. I think it's something we should really do. I have to get going, guys. Great time on American Intelligence Report, Popeye. Down the Rabbit Hole, Chris Everard, Enigma Channel TV, and Scotty Lopez. All are joining us here today, and thanks again. I'm going to get this up on YouTube, and let's talk about this off of air. And I'm going to try to find a domain name. I'm Alt Media Conference or something around that nature. We need to come up with a cool name for it. We'll talk soon, and send me your ideas. All right, guys. Again, thanks to everyone in the chat, AmericanIntelligenceReport.com. We'll see you guys tomorrow, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time till noon. Tomorrow we have Cass from the Anti-Media joining us. He also does Era of Wisdom. He's been doing investigation in Pizzagate. Thursdays, Doc Martin, former Illuminati member, and Fritz Springmeyer will be joining me on Friday. So you guys have a good night, and I really appreciate everyone in the chat. Scotty Lopez, Popeye, and Chris Everard. You guys have a good one, and may God be with you.
Take care.
Thanks, Chris.
No problem.
Take care. Bye.
Thanks, Chris.
No problem, guys. I'll talk to you guys in a bit.